subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Two are contradictory. However, I never thought that Lin Fan would solve this problem completely. 46-inch Lin Fan laughed. Yes, the answer lies in this sandwich of dried squid. 35 in each piece of noodles. I put dried squid as a heart to replace the ramen noodles made from ramen noodles. Moreover, with the addition of fish head, the base soup made by boiling the fish and meat rolls brings out the best flavor. Fish rolls that absorb the essence, paired with fish soup that is 0.0 fresh to the bone. I am afraid that only those who have eaten it can appreciate this taste. The audience nodded along. However, at this time, Kikuchi Orchard asked politely that, "Student Lin, I have an unkind request. Can I have a taste too? After all, as long as it's good cooking, I'm willing to try and learn. So please." Kikuchi Orchard said it seriously. Lin Fan was stunned for a moment, then replied, "There's a special bowl. You can try it." Kikuchi Orchard looked expectant. Then, he took over Lin Fan's non-face and picked up a handful. Chapter 178, The Man Who Won't Lose, is terrible. Subscribe. Kikuchi Orchard took a bite. In an instant, Kakaka unprepared, directly into the state of bursting clothes. It's delicious. The taste of this fish noodles can be made so strong. Kikuchi Orchard sighed. However, in front of everyone, I just saw this young and extraordinary female chef who was moved by Lin Fan's cooking. I don't know, at this moment, it seems that 2 propellers are installed on the feet of the orchard. I can't wait to take off directly in place. Kawashima Ray on the side looked at Kikuchi Orchard in surprise, looking at this usually quiet but powerful girl. I saw Kikuchi Orchard and sighed while eating non-noodles. The dried squid in this side. Let's not talk about the tediousness and difficulty of the production process. Just this idea is really wonderful. Dried squid hearts in every noodle. To be able to do it in such a short time, I heard that your cooking skills are very good. I've also learned about it. I really didn't know until I personally faced the 08 finals. Such an opponent. The invisible pressure brought by it. You can only know it after you experience it yourself. The texture of the noodles, the soup base, and the fish roll. Delicious. Speaking of which, Kikuchi Orchard fantasized about himself, soaring in the sky. The fish swam back and forth around him, and he seemed to be transformed into a fish. Free and carefree. At this time, Kikuchi Orchard realized why people who had tasted Lin Fan's cuisine before would be crazy about it. Because she is like that now. Lin Fan's cooking seems to be infused with magic. Let the eater feel the soul. Thinking of this, Kikuchi Orchard subconsciously looked at his cooking. Although it is perfect, it has no soul. I saw the judges, very experienced in picking up a piece of squid ring. Eat it in one bite. Click Kakaka crisp and pleasant voice was picked up by the microphone. The judges were amazed. This squid ring is not made of squid. The stuffing in the squid ring is the real squid. It's been done to the point where it's fake and real. If you don't taste it yourself, you won't be able to find it at all. The taste is amazing, and it also fits the theme of non-object. The 3 judges spoke calmly. Same compliments on deliciousness, but something seems to be missing. Kikuchi Orchard was very sensitive, and he noticed it immediately, but didn't say anything. Sure enough, the judge went on to say, "It's delicious and it's perfect, but if you take out alone, it will definitely shock all 4, but compared with Lin Fan's nonsense, just a little less." After speaking, the judge hurriedly said, "It's not that the food is not good, it's just Lin Fan's non-noodles make people feel that the food is alive." The judges on the side hurriedly responded, "Indeed, I didn't feel the fresh taste of the ingredients themselves. So, sorry, I'm going to give Lin Fan a vote." The last judge also nodded and said yes. The answer is obvious. I was amazed by Lin Fan's non-face, and this vote for the non-face is well-deserved. Wow, still boiling. This result was expected and unexpected. Actually, Lin Fan can win this game, but I'm not that surprised. I watched too many of his games, and I feel numb. It would be strange if I didn't win. This year, Lin Fan is without a doubt Tsuki's trump card. It's hard to come across such a chef once in 100 years. Have you noticed? Lin Fan has competed a lot since the first entrance exam, and up to now, he has never lost. When you say that, you are terrified. It's really like this: you haven't lost a game, and the winning rate has reached 100%. What kind of monster is this? It's too exaggerated. Among today's chefs, there should be no one who can maintain such a record, right? That's right, but it doesn't rule out Tsuki's hype. If you say that, I feel it too. Lin Fan's competition from start to finish, to put it bluntly, is all Tsuki chefs. It's hard to say. Did he deliberately do this for this year's The Blue competition? The audience media off the field, the more they talk, the more outrageous they are. From the beginning of blind worship to this time began to question. Because looking at the entire food industry, in the careers of chefs, there are too many competitions, big and small. However, since it is a competition, it is normal to have winners and losers. But only Lin Fan has never lost from start to finish. This is completely beyond people's realm. But there are also many people who objected. As you say, if all this is a stepping stone for Lin Fan, then Lin Fan's cooking skills are obvious to all. There is no doubt about it. Yes, no special effects are added, and there is no chance of cheating and live cooking in front of everyone. Isn't everyone overwhelmed by Lin Fan's cooking skills again and again, and then came out to question it? Even if it takes 10,000 steps back, it was Tsuki who deliberately favored Lin Fan. Then he must be that material. Otherwise, how would he favor it? Strength can't deceive people. The audience was divided into two waves, and the media also took the opportunity to make a mess. But Lin Fan did not change his face and heart from beginning to end. Enjoy the joy of victory. Bang, 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 ribbons on the stage danced in the air. Even if someone questioned, they couldn't resist the enthusiastic cheers on the scene. Lin Fan rolled all the way to the end. 3 days later, it will be his competition against the elite chefs outside the school. This will be the most watched culinary competition in the industry. Through the selection of the elite chef competition, Tsuki gained enough popularity in a short period of time. Because of Lin Fan's cooking skills, Tsuki has also become popular. Even non-cooking people want to apply for Tsuki after watching Lin Fan's video. And for all this, Lin Fan is not surprised. Everything is expected. One of the things he is most concerned about at the moment is the 3-day vacation period after the normal competition ends. I made an appointment with the members of Polar Star Dorm to go to the hot spring. Chapter 179 Vacation. The Disappearing Hot Spring Hotel Subscription. Next morning, Lin Fan, Mito Yumei, and Tadakuro Megumi packed their clothes and prepared to leave for the hot spring town. This was said yesterday. To take advantage of the 3 days of rest, take a good bath in a hot spring and relax. Of course, there is another one behind the three. Nakiri Irina. Seeing her standing behind him, he stopped and hesitated. Hey, Lin Fan, you really don't plan to use these 3 days to study new dishes at Polar Star Dorm? You know, it's the final in 3 days. Do you know who are the elite chefs in the guest group? Those people are different from the ones you meet now, like. Before Nakiri Irina could speak, Lin Fan turned around and laughed first. For example, Senior Dojima Jin and Senior Guan Shuping. Nakiri Irina clasped her hands, and Sundara said, "Now that you know, shouldn't you be more serious?" Them. Lin Fan took over and said, "They're different from ordinary chefs, especially Dojima Senpai. When I graduated, I was the most sought-after chef in the country. Hundreds of high-end restaurants and hotels rushed to him at the same time. But in the end, they chose Tsuki Resort. At the time, it was a big news event." Lin Fan took a breath and blurted out. These words, Nakiri Irina babbled from the morning. Lin Fan's ears are about to hear calluses. Seeing this, Nakiri Irina said calmly, "Since you know all this, why do you insist on taking a vacation? At this juncture, shouldn't we be more attentive? If the chain falls off, the seniors won't leave you a trace of affection. Don't think that you can take it lightly if you have beaten Shinomiya Senpai. Dojima Senpai is really stronger than you can imagine." Lin Fan took a deep breath and smiled. "I didn't take it lightly. I just didn't take it seriously. Behind Lin Fan, Mito Yumei and Tadakuro Megumi subconsciously took a deep breath. Talking to this eldest lady of Tsundere like this. Can't imagine what will happen next. However, Lin Fan disapproved and said, "Don't worry, it's okay if there's no problem." Speaking of which, it's rare to have a 3-day holiday in a row, and I'm already very busy at ordinary times. The key is that your grandfather will put pressure on me to get engaged to you every once in a while. 39, don't stress too much. Nakiri Arena looked shocked. Swish, all of a sudden he blushed. I didn't know what to say for a while. After thinking for a moment, he hesitated and changed the subject. You are. It's really hopeless. I'm too lazy to talk about you. After finishing speaking, he walked over to Tadakuro Megumi and said calmly, "Let's go. No one is worried. Why should we worry about it here?" After speaking, seeing that Tadakuro Megumi didn't react, he strode forward. Tadakuro Megumi was stunned. Lin Fan shrugged and smiled. "Let's go." Hot Spring Street. As soon as I heard the name, I knew that all large and small, high-end hot springs are concentrated here. And Lin Fan came here, really just want to take a good bath and rest. Yiming Hot Spring Hotel. Lin Fan and his party chose this hot spring hotel. After spending some time packing everything, I wanted to rest for a while. I heard Tadakuro Megumi say hello from outside the door. "Student Lin, we came a little late and missed lunch, so I went to the kitchen to see what was available. Don't bother the boss lady anymore. So, what do you want to eat? I'll make it for everyone." Lin Fan replied. Anything is fine." Tadakuro Megumi complied and left. Lin Fan was lying on the tatami, feeling bored and unable to sleep. Just get up and go to the kitchen to see Tadakuro Megumi and see what she's cooking. Kitchen. Tadakuro Megumi is making dishes while chatting with the chef. Hot rice, grilled fish, miso soup, also served with some pickles, hot spring eggs, and seasoned seaweed. It looks simple but rich. It really fits Tadakuro Megumi's character. Seeing Lin Fan come in, Tadakuro Megumi smiled and said, "Ah, he came right after I said that." 35. This is the classmate Lin Fan I told you. The chef looked back, a little surprised. After a lot of fast, he sighed, "You are really young and promising." This is Tsuki near Tsuki and Lin Fan, the hottest young chef in the food world. 35. Hello. I'm the head chef of Odo Ming Hot Spring Hotel. 39. About your videos, I've seen more or less online. It's amazing. Jing schools like Tsuki, as a professional chef, are very longing for me. And the system of further education is cruel. You can not only stand out from this, but also break the record in Tsuki history, which is amazing. Tadakuro Megumi smiled proudly. Lin Fan smiled politely. It's okay, it's not as exaggerated as it was posted on the internet. The head chef also smiled and said, "He is handsome and speaks very kindly. It's not as arrogant as the internet says." Having said this, the head chef replied apologetically, Sorry, what I said just now was a bit rude." Lin Fan shook his head and said, "It's all right. That's what people outside say. Don't worry about it. I never pay attention to it. By the way, the hot spring town here, Nakiri Shinsman Senpai, often comes here too. That's why it's so hot." The head chef nodded and replied, "Yes, Dojao. Not only that. Starting with Senzaman-sama, many distinguished guests love to come here." 99. So, we are all very proud to work here. They think so too, but why are they willing to leave? Lin Fan was puzzled and asked, Who left? The head chef took a deep breath and said, "The Kazami Hot Spring Hotel suddenly disappeared. Oh no, it can't be called missing." Suddenly, the Kazami Hot Spring Hotel closed overnight, and I don't know where it went. Maybe the boss has something to hide. Otherwise, it's impossible to let go here. Lin Fan nodded. He didn't speak. After all, he didn't know the ins and outs. At this time, a cook came in a panic. Chapter 180 Shini Monster. This is artificial. Subscribe. At this time, a chef rushed in a panic. Head chef. It's a big deal. After all the Kazami onsen staff left without saying goodbye. Today is Yujin Shanshan Villa. After listening to this, the head chef's face changed greatly. What? Even the Royal Golden Villa? 99. Then this is definitely not a coincidence. There must be other reasons. 39. Are you leaving without saying goodbye? The chef took a deep breath and replied, I was a guest who made an appointment for his house just now. After arriving at the store, I found that there was a sign, closed, hanging in front of the door. I can't get through the phone. Now, there are so many people outside the store, and the customers are about to fry the pot. Would you like to go have a look? Without any hesitation, the head chef got up and said, Go. Let's have a look. Royal Kamshong Villa Lin Fan and his party followed the head chef to the gate of Yujinshan Villa. Outside the gate, passengers with bags were talking. Isn't it? Did something happen temporarily? Yesterday, I had a phone call with the boss, so I reserved a room. If there are any temporary changes, I should be reminded. I only booked 117 yesterday. From the attitude of the boss, there is nothing unusual. So, it may be an emergency. Otherwise, it can't be like this. I heard this street is not the only store that suddenly disappeared. In this case, could it be some kind of weird talk or monsters? Wow. The chatter and speculation of several people instantly sublimated the originally tense atmosphere. Tadakoro Megumi, who was beside Lin Fan, changed his face. Ayukai are haunting? Could it be Tengu Shinin? That's scary. Tadakoro Megumi said. At this moment, a young foreign guy next to Lin Fan spoke. It's okay. I like Japan very much, as long as you can stay in any hotel. 99, it does not matter. The boy wears his hat upside down, carries a large travel bag, and has a bright face. Afterwards, the boy looked at Lin Fan and said with a smile, Is this a tourist here too? Which hotel does he live in? Help me arrange the same hotel as him. Lin Fan was stunned. The boy continued to laugh and said, Sorry, just seeing you for the first time makes me feel very kind. Young people, there are always new things to talk about. It's one of the best memories of my trip too. Burdened after listening responsibly, he nodded and said, It's best for you to think so. They live in Yiming Hotel. I'll help you get in touch, and I'll take you there. The boy waved his hand and said, No, it's not so troublesome. If possible, this classmate, can I go with you? Some comes suddenly. But Lin Fan just happened to be going back, so he agreed. Do not take it seriously. Along the way, the boy didn't stop to speak. When I was very young, I traveled alone, from Hokkaido to Okinawa. I was very impressed by the Japanese hotel. I like it very much. 35, I am really looking forward to this hot spring hotel. The service attitude of greeting while walking the three-finger salute, and the purpose of serving guests with sincerity and hospitality, and the ease of various mountains and Japanese architecture. It really makes me have the illusion that I suddenly become a king. Haha. Lin Fan didn't pay much attention to what he said. I just think this guy is a bit exaggerated. But intuitively, I think this person speaks a bit strange. Then, see him saying to Tadakoro Megumi, especially the girls in this country. It's so cute, and they have their own unique charm. Tadakoro Megumi blushed when he heard this, somewhat embarrassed. Only then did Lin Fan react. Cough, cough, he coughed twice on purpose, then looked at the boy. The boy seemed to understand something and immediately scratched his head and said with a smile, Sorry. It's this kind of carefree personality. Don't forget to heart. How offensive. Lin Fan didn't speak, and the group came to the door of Yiming Hotel. The boy laughed again. Thank you, too, for leading the way. 35, Tadakoro Megumi also laughed. You're welcome. This store is also very good, and the owner is very enthusiastic. Also, the chef's cooking skills are amazing. Suddenly, the boy turned gloomy and said with a smile, Oh, right. The cooking skills are superb. That's great. The sensitive Lin Fan suddenly noticed something was wrong. However, the boy's expression only recovered for a moment. Seeing him say goodbye to Lin Fan with a smile, he went to the front desk. After the boy left, Tadakoro Megumi started to mumble, The environment here is really great. If the disappearance didn't happen, it should have been a great vacation experience. If Nakiri and Mito-kun found out, they would be shocked too. Yukai Kinin. Lin Fan lightly patted Tadakoro Megumi on the shoulder and said with a smile, You think too much. It's definitely not a monster. Do not worry. Tadakoro Megumi was surprised. How do you know? But it's so strange that it suddenly disappeared. Lin Fan said calmly, It's definitely not as mysterious as disappearance. When I was passing by just now, I accidentally saw the inside of Eizan Villa. The expensive paintings, ornate furniture, etc. are still there, so it must not have been stolen or something. 5. But the strangest thing is that the cooking tools in the kitchen are all swept away. And then the hood kept turning. The trash can or something, it's what it looks like just after cooking. The most important thing, there are also cutlery for 3, just put on the cooking table. This way, the sixth sense will make me think maybe there's a reason for making bets with cooking, such as eating halberd. You have to leave after you lose? Chapter 181, The Cook, King. Are you coming to give someone a head? Subscribe. Tadakoro Megumi looks surprised. You mean to say, someone challenged these stores through a method similar to halberd, and if they lost, they would leave automatically? Who would it be then? Are these 2 hot spring hotels the same person to offend? And 35. You know, even Nakiri Senpai, as well as some noble people, will come here. Obviously, the chefs must be culinary quite high. 35. It's amazing to be able to defeat them silently. At present, I think there's only one person who can do this. Saying that, Tadakoro Megumi looked at Lin Fan and said calmly, "That's Lin Fan, you." 35. This sudden compliment caught Lin Fan a little off guard. But what Tadakoro Megumi said is true. Lin Fan thought for a while and said calmly, "No matter what, I don't think it has much to do with us. It's not a monster. It's also possible it's just a personal grudge of the shopkeepers. In that case, it's really within our ability, correct? The hot springs here have the best reputation." Tadakoro Megumi didn't think too much and went back to the room, ready to pack up and go to the hot spring. Evening, when the group prepares for a sumptuous dinner. Strange things happened. Normally, at this point, the proprietress should ask the guests to have dinner. But Lin Fan and his party were playing poker in the room, and after waiting for a while, they didn't see the boss lady. This is not normal. So, Lin Fan and a few doubtful tourists went to the kitchen to find out. However, when a group of people walked by the kitchen door, bang, a muffled sound. Ping pong pong then, the sound of some stainless steel kitchen utensils falling to the ground. Everyone was stunned subconsciously, and after looking at each other a few times, they rushed into the kitchen immediately. At this time, the foreign boy who was leading the way by Lin Fan was standing in front of the kitchen counter. The earlier sunlight was completely gone, and the expression on his face was grim. The proprietress was lying on the ground, and the chef said with difficulty, "Yes, I'm sorry." Lin Fan subconsciously noticed something was wrong. Tadakoro Megumi hurriedly ran to the proprietress and tried to help her up. "It's okay, it's just a slight bump, it's fine." 99 Lin Fan quickly looked around, then calmly said, "Look at this if I guess correctly." The bosses and employees of these stores suddenly disappeared, and Eizan Villa suddenly closed. "Is it related to you?" Wow, the other guests were amazed. At this moment, the boy showed an evil smile and said arrogantly, "That's right, you found out. These stores really disappointed me, although the customer service is the first, and the customers must feel like a king." 35, but it is such a special place that it can be tolerated and admired the ordinary dishes that are too ordinary. It's incredible. Is this really the place where people of all kinds of noble status come? It would be rude to not use the strictest and most expensive ingredients in a place with imperial service. You have to use the most luxurious ingredients to be treated like a king, right? The more the boy talked, the more excited he continued. "These mediocre stores should be closed down for rectification. Then just do as I say, and then there will be better, higher quality dishes." When Lin Fan heard this, the level of paranoia made him feel familiar. Tadakoro Megumi also tried to explain to her, and Nakiri Irina behind Lin Fan, after hearing this, brought her Tsundera's attitude to the extreme. He stepped forward and said with contempt, "The highest end ingredients? Are you worthy of that?" Just as he was about to speak, Lin Fan stopped him and replied, "Indeed, are you really sure about the ultimate meaning of the ingredients? It seems to be very high-sounding, at best. Not an intruder." 35 The boy was even more rampant and said with a smile, So what? Fresh halberd. I heard about this mechanism when I was abroad. It's amazing, it's perfect. Having such a perfect mechanic, it's just a little provocation for these bosses. They who are extremely confident in their own cooking will agree to my challenge and finally give up their shop. The halberd is just tailor-made for me. On this land, I can bring my cooking skills to the extreme. Lin Fan looked at him calmly and said, "Wait, did you misunderstand something? As an intruder, are you sure you have the right to speak out here? Why don't exist?" 35 The boy smiled and said, "Ha ha, you are Lin Fan, right? 0. Ask for flowers 00. I came this time. The big reason is because of you." Lin Fan, a transfer student from Totsuki, a newcomer in the food industry, can actually climb to the top of this school within a year. And with his own cooking skills, he shocked the entire food circle. Even me, who is even abroad, knows more or less of your information and has seen some of your information. 5. A talent like you is really rare. Join the late night cook. It's perfect for you. How about coming to Shurji? If you lose, you will be willing to join the late night cook. If I lose, I will return those shops to them the same way, and even promise you that I will never set foot on this land. The boy spoke extremely arrogantly and did not take Lin Fan seriously at all. It seems that winning Lin Fan is just a little effort. After Lin Fan heard this, he looked at the cooking table again. "Huh, that's what you cook, right?" People looked back. Wow, everyone was surprised. "Wow, lobster, foie gras, caviar. This dish has all the high-end ingredients." Sure enough, just looking at this, I feel a noble treatment. The taste should not be bad. Look at this, I really want to taste it. Lin Fan smiled and replied, "I can agree to your request, and I will make you unforgettable for the rest of your life." Wow, most of the tourists were dissatisfied. Is this a promise? Although the rules for eating halberds are generally known, they need to be fair, but this guy is too arrogant. Yeah, the price is just to let him get out? With such a despicable method. Let him go so easily? It's too cheap, this guy. Everyone said that this sounded fair. It's not really cool at all. However, Lin Fan smiled and said, "Don't worry." I said, "He will never forget it." Everyone, this guy won't step out of this land so cheaply. As he said that, Lin Fan calmed his face and showed a wicked smile. Chapter 182 Lobster Chodford Fluid Gold. Subscribe. People are puzzled, but Nikiri Irina got it. Lin Fan has something to say, but she can't say what kind of dishes will be made and what will be the results. One thing is for sure, Lin Fan will not tell lies. At this time, Nikiri Irina's little secretary, Arado Hisako, also came. He quickly walked up to Irina and asked in a low voice, "Sir Irina, is there really no need to stop Lin Fan from this matter?" Nikiri Irina didn't speak, just shook her head. Hisako immediately understood the meaning. At this time, the boy in front of the cooking table disagreed. The expression on his face became more rampant, and he smiled. "Lin Fan, I like your confidence. 99, in that case. It makes me want to lose to you so much. Let's see what else you can do outside of the bet, but this is just your 117 wishful thinking. It is impossible for me to lose to you. By the way, did you forget to introduce yourself? My nickname is the King, and I am a late-night cook. 35, it's about making food, like a king's enjoyment. This is the ultimate meaning of ingredients. Otherwise, it's really a waste of the chef's cooking skills. So, if you regret it at the moment, it's too late. Join our team of late-night cooks. You will find the secret of food here." Lin Fan looked at him disdainfully. "The mystery of food? A third-rate chef like you is not worthy of speaking. 5, stop talking nonsense. You've already cooked the dishes just now, right? 35, is this food made of all the high-grade ingredients? 55, the King was still smiling wildly. Then, quickly scooped a spoonful of roe. His move is very familiar. I saw the roe thrown into the air. Whoosh whoosh, I saw the props waving easily. This scene was as spectacular as Lin Fan threw eggs into the air and beat them in the air. Should be more powerful. The proprietress next to her suddenly exclaimed, Isn't it incredible? Throw the fish roe with a diameter of less than 3 millimeters into the air, and then cut it in half quickly in the air. 35, How is this possible? Not only the proprietress and the chef were surprised. Even the onlookers were in an uproar. I have seen Lin Fan beating eggs in the air, and the scene at that time was extremely spectacular. It was beyond my understanding, but I didn't expect this king to be even more powerful than him. 35. I've also seen the halberd you mentioned, really. At that time, everyone was shocked by Lin Fan's way of beating eggs, but I didn't expect that there was an upgraded version of this method. Looks like Lin Fan has met an opponent. I've heard of this late-night cook. I've also heard that this organization, which specializes in late-night gatherings of chefs, has recently poured into the country in large numbers. It seems that Lin Fan has met a master this time. Although his previous grades were good, he has always competed with chefs in the school, and even among the chefs of the Tsuki department. But he has never met an opponent other than Tsuki. I really don't want Lin Fan to lose. This guy is so despicable. Come on, Lin Fan. The hotel guests started cheering for Lin Fan. However, the king pretended and smiled contemptuously. It's just a last fearless struggle. Even if you say that my cooking is made of high-quality ingredients, so what? You can never change. This dish is the pinnacle of taste. This is the kind of food that the eater can enjoy like a king after eating it. Saying that, the king divided the prepared dishes and placed them on the cooking table. Indicate for everyone a taste. This is lobster chaudfred fluid gold. Lin Fan, try it. The gap between me and you is here. Even if you have very good cooking skills, those mediocre ingredients are the biggest obstacle to your cooking skills. If you don't change your mind, you'll never be able to cook at its peak. 35 after speaking. The king put the dishes on the table. The people in the kitchen nodded. First, the proprietress and the chef quickly picked it up and ate it. Kakaka, in an instant, the proprietress and the chef were startled. Nakiri Arena heard the news and hurriedly picked up one and ate it. After all, she is very interested in the handling of high-grade ingredients. A moment of entry. The bright taste and deliciousness of caviar instantly filled the whole mouth. The refreshing lobster meat is perfectly integrated with the matching sauce, forming a very ingenious taste. After the caviar is cut and sprinkled on top of the dish, the flavor of the caviar is incorporated into the chardford. This taste, it melts quietly in your mouth. It's so beautiful. That's the charm of premium ingredients. Nakiri Arena couldn't help sighing. She was shocked by the high-class cuisine of the king. Really treated like a king. At this time, the proprietress was already in tears. Before the judging, I firmly believed that the dishes made by this guy could not be better than Chef Yiming's. 99, but after eating this dish, my body is out of control, and I agree with this dish. It's so beautiful. This dish is so beautiful. I really can't control my emotions. After hearing this, the king smiled proudly and said, "This is just a little bit of fur." 35. In the world I live in, if there is no way to satisfy the taste buds of the diners, or the food is served bad. So, what you will face, even if you are executed, is quite normal. So sure, it's a piece of cake for me. You know what I mean, Lin Fan? As long as you put your heart and soul into cooking, such a dish can be called perfect. In a way, we still have a lot in common. 35. I ate the spirit of 0.0 people in this kind of late night cooking from your cooking. So, to give you one last chance to consider, join us. It will be the crowning honor of your chef career. After Lin Fan heard this, he calmly smiled and said, "I can't understand you in the world you're talking about. But I have also heard of another world where chefs must go through countless hardships if they want to practice cooking. If you can't cook perfect food, it's a trivial matter to die. It is very likely that they will all die without burial." 35. And for the chefs themselves, the various physical qualities and skills required are more stringent. So, would you like to try it? Chapter 183 Craftsmanship from Dark Cooking World subscription. Would you like to try it? Lin Fan said with a long smile. This smile made others look at it, and some of them got chills down their spines. When the king saw this, he felt very excited. This is Lin Fan. In such a state, what kind of amazing dishes he can make, I will wait and see. However, when Lin Fan walked to the ingredients area and picked up pigeon meat, the king was suddenly disappointed. Afterwards, he quickly showed a wicked smile and said, "I didn't expect Lin Fan. You are still so clueless. Nine, seriously, I watched those halberd eating competitions before you. If you use high-end cuisine and match your culinary skills, I think I'm convinced to lose to you, but you have used such ingredients. You are wasting your cooking skills. Disappointed, so disappointed. How can a mediocre dish like this be delicious?" 39. Before you could win on Shurji in 08, it was because those judges had never eaten the real ultimate cuisine. Never mind. I don't have anything to say for an enterprising young man like you. After all, there are many hot spring ryokan waiting for me all over Japan. Speaking of which, Nakiri Irina couldn't help it. He stood up and retorted, "Wait, where did you get your confidence? You will definitely win Lin Fan. Speaking of which, the halberd is the symbol of Totsuki. I will not allow you to trample on the halberd like this. High-end ingredients, right?" Saying that, Nakiri Irina looked back at Lin Fan. This halberd battle is not only about solving the hot spring town, it is already related to Totsuki. Ho cuisine, being in front of me who has been exposed to top-notch cuisine since I was a child. He even said the word high-end cuisine to me. 5. What a joke. What noble ingredients have I never seen? This is up to me. Nakiri Irina spoke firmly. For the eldest lady of Tsundere, the king's actions had already offended her. Plus, for her, who has been exposed to top-quality ingredients since she was a child. The top ingredients are used to make top dishes, and she is the only choice. However, Lin Fan was handling the ingredients and smiled indifferently. "I don't think you have a chance to use your high-end cooking." 35. "I'm here, you don't need to come. By the way, I'm the chief officer of Totsuki now. This guy is swindling around with Totsuki halberds, and I can't ignore it." Having said that, Lin Fan quickly changed the knife after cleaning up the pigeon meat. However, at the moment when he changed the knife, no one noticed. He made a small movement. Unwittingly, the ingredients were replaced. Regarding the replacement of this ingredient, it is also due to the geographical location of the hot spring town and special reasons. Originally, Lin Fan just grabbed this ingredient out of curiosity. Didn't expect it to come in handy here. There's nothing to say about a man like the king. For people like him, the cooking techniques in the dark cooking world are the best choice for him. It's time to teach this man a lesson. If you want to be wild, you have to look at people, fire hot oil, bowl off familiar voice. Lin Fan's pigeon meat goes into the pot. Boom, flames emerge from the pot. And while the oil was consumed, the fragrance quickly came out. At this time, the king laughed. "You shouldn't be. 99 fuel-guzzling pigeon meat." If I remember correctly, in one of your few videos of eating halberd, you have already used this dish in the previous competitions. 5. I really didn't expect that on a day like today, even if you use mediocre ingredients, you can still use such ordinary cooking methods. 2. Insulting Lin Fan. Boy, from this moment on, the little bit of admiration I have for your culinary skills has disappeared in an instant. You can't beat me today. Not only that, I want to let those people know that a chef like you is not worthy of being a late-night cook. Lin Fan ignored him. Quickly fry the dishes in the pot. Holding the handle of the pot, I used a little internal force. The aroma became more intense, scattered all over the kitchen. The guests, the proprietress, and the head chef can't accept it. The proprietress was surprised. I didn't expect to see Lin Fan cooking with my own eyes. It's really amazing to be able to cook a simple ingredient with such a fragrant aroma. 99. The head chef also sighed. As expected of Tsuki's student, as expected of Lin Fan. The rumors are true. The strength of this young man is really suffocating. 35 tourists are also talking about it. As expected of Lin Fan, he can make such a simple ingredient so fragrant. 35. I just stood here, and the tip of my tongue has saliva. It's so fragrant. This is not the aroma of pigeon meat at all. In the amazement of the crowd, the dishes came out smoothly. Seeing this, King 117 just smiled casually. Even he found the aroma unexpectedly charming. But mediocre food, no matter how you cook it, It is mediocre. Seeing this, Nakiri Arena on the side, feeling a little surprised. The king seems to have never been beaten badly by Lin Fan. Lin Fan brought the dishes to the cooking table. A plate of steaming, fried pigeon meat that has been sautéed in oil, and it's ready. The aroma is like a captivating goblin, which makes the onlookers applaud continuously. At this moment, Lin Fan smiled and said, "Why don't you come and try it first?" The king cut. Picking up the chopsticks, he smiled and said, "I can't even look at ordinary ingredients like this, let alone eat them. But today's special circumstances, I'll just reluctantly. However, my words are here. This dish cannot surpass me." The king thought so too. Even if it was delicious, he would deny it. Because, with such mediocre ingredients and such mediocre practices, it would be an insult if he said it was delicious. Thinking of this, I picked up a piece and ate it in my mouth. Chapter 184, Poisonous the Moment You Enter. The meat is soft, tender, and fragrant, with a perfect combination of seasonings, instantly occupying the entire mouth. The moment when the upper and lower teeth bite the meat. The tender gravy poured out instantly. Mouth full of fragrance. Even, the king also felt an unprecedented taste experience. This is not at all like a dish that can be cooked with only oil consumption. However, outrageously, all that really tasted was the gas guzzling and some regular seasonings. There's also meat quality. It is obviously pigeon meat, but it tastes a new and different taste. To be precise, it is the chef who has tasted the cooking of this dish and has a profound cooking skill. At this moment, the king's previous cognition was overturned. Why can mediocre ingredients and mediocre cooking techniques have such a huge impact on the taste buds? At this moment, Lin Fan stood aside and saw the change of the king. So he smiled and said, "How is it? Does it taste good? Compared to the noble ingredients you talk about, what I offer is noble cooking. If it is according to your words, it is a cooking skill that only a king can taste. 35 in high-end ingredients, in rarity. Even if there is only one copy in the world, it has a price and can be bought. The same ingredients, the same methods. And my cooking skills, I can tell you responsibly, there is only one copy in the world. This is the ultimate taste bud enjoyment provided to them as diners." 39. Do you understand what I said? The king was astonished when he heard this. Lin Fan continued with a smile. "For someone like you, I don't want to talk too much nonsense with you. You're such a rubbish cook, you don't deserve to comment on my food. At this moment, I just need you to submit to my cooking skills, which should be easy to do, right?" The king widened his eyes. At this time, Lin Fan's words sent chills down his spine. How can a teenage boy's words penetrate people like this? Even if Lin Fan's unique cooking theory is correct, from the king's point of view, he cannot lose. This time, there is his responsibility. In the southern part of Country A, there is a banquet that only late-night cooks can handle. Their preferred chef, Lin Fan. The king, who has always been proud of his cooking skills, learned that he had been temporarily replaced. This is a great insult to his career as a chef. So this is one of the important reasons why he set foot in Japan. As long as he can successfully defeat Lin Fan, he can regain his qualifications as the head chef of the banquet. Not because of how lucrative the party was. This is for the king, as the dignity of the chef back. Death is not scary. What is scary is living like a walking dead. Thinking of this, the king was even more certain. He couldn't admit that Lin Fan's low-grade dish was delicious. Just about to speak, when the words reached his lips, he suddenly changed his mind and said, "Okay, delicious. Never had a meal like this delicious." It is no exaggeration to say that this is the first time I have eaten pigeon meat so delicious. 35. As soon as the words came out, there was an uproar. Even the king himself was stunned. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead instantly, which was obviously not what he wanted to say. But why? He couldn't control his mouth. "Not like this," the king suddenly retorted. But when he tried to say the word unpalatable, it was as if something was stuck in his throat, make it impossible for him to speak out. The king kept pinching his neck, trying to say something negative. But no matter what you do, it is useless. In the end, the words that came out were still praise for Lin Fan's cooking. This move stunned the onlookers. This man, what happened suddenly? I don't know. Why is it so painful? I was moved by Lin Fan's cooking. Anyway, he said himself, Lin Fan's food is delicious, right? Yeah, he just lost anyway. Everyone was talking. Only Lin Fan knew that the core technology of the 8 demon-breaking arrays was to control people's hearts. Even without this power, this guy can't refuse the food cooked by Lin Fan. Just now, the pigeon meat that Lin Fan replaced was red frog meat. After using the power of the 8 demon-breaking arrays, this guy will become poisonous when he leaves the hot spring town. The original formula is that within a week, the whole body will be stiff like a zombie. But Lin Fan felt that this was far from enough, so he added some amount in it. Lethal amount. Since this guy keeps claiming that in the world he lives, as long as he cooks garbage, he will die. So, Lin Fan is just using their customs to return it to the king. After a week, the king will start to poison, stiff, and lose consciousness. In the end, you will die directly in this chaos. In this way, who can find out what Lin Fan said? Everything is so natural. The king at this time was annoyed and had no idea what was going to happen in the future. At this time, the passengers began to boo. This guy, if he loses, he should follow the previous bet and get out of the hot spring town. No, should get out of this country. I am willing to surrender. According to what he said before, his world is about to die at any time. So Lin Fan has already shown mercy to him. From a secret organization, right? Going back in such an embarrassed way. I'm afraid it won't end well. That has nothing to do with us, but at this moment, please get out of the hot spring town immediately. Get out of the hot spring street. The travelers were emotional and pointed at the king. The king at this time was like a mouse crossing the street, everyone shouting and beating, looking very embarrassed. He was completely different from the sunny, talkative, and confident personality before. With a gloomy face, the king looked at Lin Fan. Seeing Lin Fan at that moment, he showed a terrifying smile. The king was silent and had to leave silently. Nakiri Arena. Just let him go? Didn't you just say that you would let him taste it? 66 gas, Lin Fan laughed. Yes. Nakiri Arena was puzzled. Lin Fan didn't say much. Looking at the disappearing back, through the poison left on this guy by the 8 demon poisoning array, he can find the organization that cooks the people in the middle of the night. In this way, Lin Fan really wants to meet these shameless cooks. Chapter 185, The Underground Party of the Mysterious Organization. Subscribe. The next evening, Lin Fan gave a reason and temporarily left the hot spring town. Because of the origin of the king, Lin Fan remembered the one who came to Totsuki earlier to challenge things. He also mentioned the late-night cook. Lin Fan is very curious about this organization and how they are formed. There's also the world in the mouth of the king. As long as the cooking is slightly wrong, it will die unexpectedly. Such an organization, Lin Fan would subconsciously think of one. The dark cooking world of Zhang and today. What is the relationship between the late-night cook and the dark cooking world? However, right behind, a familiar voice appeared. Wait. Lin Fan turned back, and it was Nakiri Irina. Irina walked up and said calmly, Where are you going? If I'm not mistaken, you want to... Lin Fan didn't speak, just smiled. Nakiri Irina took a deep breath and said seriously, Do you know what you're doing? 35, the group of people behind the late-night cook. I'm afraid it's not that simple. And theirs, if you want to investigate the origins of the late-night cook and the invasion of the country. I'm afraid you can't do it alone. Lin Fan calmly said, Is it all right if I bring you 117? Nakiri Irina was stunned. Lin Fan smiled and said, I'll go alone. If there is an emergency, I'm guaranteed to be able to get out. But take your word, it's hard to say. So, just wait for my news here. If there is anything you need to answer, I will call you. Nakiri Irina replied, You have to know that the group of people behind them, even the late-night cooks, are outlaws. 35 having said that, Nakiri Irina took a deep breath, then calmly said, Since you have made up your mind, I can't say anything more. 99. Anyway, you have to be careful. You can rest assured on my side. I've already arranged for someone to investigate, and I will catch all the invading late-night cooks. At present, I have some eyebrows, but they are all small. Let's see if I can ask something. Lin Fan nodded and turned to leave. Yokohama, Pier Lin Fan followed the poison left on the king's body. Lots of private cruises at sea. Lin Fan struggled a little and followed quietly. Inside the cruise, there were several tall men in suits and leather shoes standing beside the door who looked like personal bodyguards. On the sofa, a middle-aged man looked at the person in front of him with a serious expression. Lin Fan recognized him at a glance, the king. The man sitting on the sofa took a breath and exhaled. After a moment of silence, he suddenly took out a gun and pointed it at the king. Next, the bodyguards behind him repeated the man's actions. At this moment, the man got up and pointed at the king's chin. "Stinky boy, remember what you said about going to Lin Fan. 55 for you to invite him to be the chef for this special dinner, but how did you promise me? You said your cooking skills are better than Lin Fan. When you go this time, you will prove to us that your dishes that are only suitable for kings will definitely surprise Lin Fan. The results of it, have you come back like this? However, not only that, you also startle the snake. Now that little girl from the Totsuki family has used the Nakiri family's connections to hunt down the late-night cook. I'm wondering now if you did it on purpose. Are you trying to screw up the party? Anyway, according to the rules, there is no way you can or go out." The king looked calm and did not speak. He was looking at the man. However, all this was clearly seen by Lin Fan, who was hiding outside. If he were to die so easily, then he would be tossing around. So, Lin Fan moved his fingers a little, and the toxins in his body erupted instantly. Thanks to the system in Lin Fan's body, these abilities can be controlled at will. Suddenly, the king fell to the ground without warning. Wow, there was an instant panic in the house. The middle-aged man subconsciously took a few steps back. What trick is this guy playing? The bodyguards rushed to the man. Looking at the king who fell on the floor, his body was stiff and unable to move. His face was pale and his eyes were empty. A bodyguard subconsciously kicked with his foot. "Hey, brat, don't play tricks here, get up quickly." Kicked and didn't respond. Then the bodyguard looked back at the man and said, "It doesn't look like it's pretending. 99, it seems to be poisoned." Having said this, the other bodyguards immediately raised their vigilance. Then the man immediately looked at the food he had just eaten. "Call me a personal doctor. Look what happened to this guy. Is he really poisoned or just pretending? I haven't signed an agreement yet. If it's fake, let him escape, and let him escape. What's the point of leaking some rumors?" Panic. Lin Fan secretly rejoiced. This guy lying like a zombie will probably last for more than a week. Originally, Lin Fan wanted to kill him by poisoning him. Now that he has changed his mind, when he wakes up, whether he is alive or dead is entirely up to him. This group of people is not a good master, and he suffers. Lin Fan took pictures of the man with his mobile phone and wanted to go back and find out his identity. However, at this moment, Lin Fan felt a strong hand resting heavily on his shoulders. Lin Fan looks back. One of those bodyguards. "You brat, how dare you eavesdrop here? Do you know who is inside?" Saying that, the man grabbed Lin Fan and brought him inside. The middle-aged man glanced back and immediately opened his eyes. Then he took out his phone and quickly pressed it. While looking at the screen, look at Lin Fan. After a while, the man was surprised. "Are you Lin Fan? It's amazing it actually appears here. Is it?" Speaking of this, the man suddenly realized. "I see. Tsuki is investigating the late-night cook recently, right?" Saying that, the man looked at the king lying on the ground with disgust. To the security guard, he said, "It's really this guy. Almost broke a major event. Get this useless guy away from me, and save yourself the trouble of watching here." The bodyguards carried the king out. Afterwards, the man looked at Lin Fan and said with a smile, "Everyone has come then. Shall we do a business?" Chapter 186 June Chao Shaki appears. Subscribe. Let's do a comparison transaction. Having said that, the man thought for a while and continued, "But since stepping into my territory and wanting to leave, I'm afraid it won't be so easy." The man gave a long smile. Then the bodyguards behind him all looked at him. The atmosphere was very tense. No one spoke, so quiet that you could hear each other's breathing. Lin Fan looked at the man as if nothing had happened. Suddenly, there is no such thing as a smile. That's interesting. What's the deal you're talking about? I'm quite interested, Dash. But don't get me wrong. I think it's because I'm afraid or something that I agree to listen to it. If I want to leave, I'm afraid you can't help me. The man smiled and said, It's a good thing for young people to be warm-blooded. Forget it. There's no need to worry about those. Since you said so, let's get straight to the point. With that said, the man looked at the bodyguards beside him and asked them to return to their original positions. Sitting back on the sofa, the man continued, I don't know how much that guy told you just now. How much do you know about our organization? But you just need to know that on this day next week, there is a special late-night banquet. And the guests present at this banquet are all well-known figures from all walks of life. 35. Because it is a private gathering, it is inconvenient to disclose it. Of course, if you agree to go and sign the agreement, you will naturally know the names of those characters. 5. However, before that, if you leak the slightest bit of rumors, this important gathering will be screwed up. So, your end will be the same as that guy just now. 35 wrong. Even worse than him. The man's words seemed to be intimidating Lin Fan. He did not know that the person who poisoned the king was in front of him. How ridiculous to say such a thing. But at this time, he just wanted to push the boat along the way and give Lin Fan a slap in the face. After all rumors, the young chef has his own temper. Therefore, men will deliberately say so. However, when Lin Fan heard this, he just took it as a joke and listened to it. So, calmly replied, The chef of the banquet, I am not interested in this matter, but I don't think it has anything to do with you about the late-night chef invasion. 35. Disturbing the ecological circle of the food industry, then I will definitely not care about this matter. 9. A man smiled and said, Cooking people late at night? We're just a partnership or an employment relationship for things other than banquets. That is not within our scope. But if you want to find out about them, I can give you the details if you agree to the conditions I just made. As for whether you can take care of them, that's your destiny. Lin Fan felt a little interesting after hearing this. What he is interested in is not only the late-night cook, but also the huge organization behind this man, if it can penetrate or even control it. So, what Lin Fan wants to do after that is simply too simple. So, Lin Fan nodded in agreement without hesitation. The man smiled, looked back at the bodyguard, and asked him to take out a contract. Sign it. This is a non-disclosure agreement between us. As the royal chef of the banquet, you are obliged to keep all secrets and know that you are buried. Lin Fan took over the contract, looked at it, smiled. Is it an employment relationship? The price is good. Just so I have a new recipe, I won't let you try it. 99. The man was pleasantly surprised and smiled. Really? It happens that we have a good chef here. Why don't you compare? Such an important banquet. A new dish. How can no one taste it? 35. Lin Fan nodded with a smile. That's fine, of course. The more people taste, the better. Let everyone taste it, the unparalleled delicacy of the 8 demon-breaking arrays. In this way, it will save trouble, and in front of Lin Fan, there will be no secrets. The man gestured, asked for flowers 00 at this time. From the room inside, a beautiful woman with a good figure came out. Dressed in business attire, he carried a large chainsaw carving knife on his shoulders. As soon as they came out, the girl looked at Lin Fan proudly. Then he smiled and said, Just him? Is he Lin Fan? Is it the new star in the food industry that is currently making all the chefs in Japan devastated? Can he really? There was obvious disdain in the girl's words. The man smiled and said, Let me introduce you, Miss Shaki. 39. It's called Army Chow Shaki. Having superb cooking skills, he is good at using all kinds of kitchen utensils that resemble weapons. 35. Therefore, I also got the title of military sergeant. I have also seen your cooking skills, but I really don't know, after the two of you meet, who is more powerful. Chow Shaki obviously did not take Lin Fan seriously. Looked, did not speak. Lin Fan laughed. It seems quite interesting. I heard from the king about your rules. If anyone cooks bad food, he will die directly. But I can't bear to see this beautiful lady. If you lose, then follow me unconditionally if you don't let go, and it's the kind that wants to die. Just recently, I have plans to open a restaurant. 5. I'm afraid there is such a beautiful maid in the shop. Lin Fan said jokingly. After hearing this, Chow Shaki frowned. feeling insulted. A teenager who was so open-mouthed in front of her. He also made such absurd talk of being a maid. Chow Shaki immediately replied, "Boy, I've heard that you can speak for a long time, and I saw it today. You are so ignorant. I'll give you a good taste of failure. I want you to completely surrender to my cooking and let you know how ridiculous what you just said is." Chapter 187, The Eighth Array of Destructing Demons and the Showdown of Demolition Cuisine. Subscription. After Lin Fan heard this, he smiled and said, "Since that's the case, I'll really wait and see. I haven't made it clear yet. Have you agreed to my suggestion just now? Although you are very repulsive now, after the lantern competition is over, you will know that I am saving your life by doing this, and you should thank me." 39. After all, Liang Xiangzai, you still needs to be there. Officer Shaki frowned and said, "Care." Taking a deep breath, he replied, "Okay, let's let you be arrogant for a while if you run the train with your mouth full." With that said, Chow Shaki looked at the man and said calmly, "If he loses, I hope to never see this man again. Let's go straight to the question." 35. Lin Fan replied, "Wait, just heard this gentleman say 117. You are very good at using blasting kitchen utensils to make blasting dishes, right? It's a coincidence. I will too." 35. Don't be so troublesome. Use what you are best at. If you defeat you like this, you will be more convinced and completely surrender to me, isn't it? Lin Fan said nothing. Shaki was shocked and confirmed again. "Are you sure? Do you really want to do this kind of death-seeking behavior?" Lin Fan nodded and smiled. "Come on." 99. Shaki understood and did not speak. Pat, 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 the man sat on the sofa, smiled and clapped his hands. "Okay." Sure enough, a hero comes out of a boy. 35. With that said, the bodyguards led the way. In the kitchen on a luxury cruise ship like this, kitchen utensils are available. The ingredients are the highest quality. The two didn't speak and went to the ingredients area to start their selection. Lin Fan took a look and found there were fresh catfish. Thought, as they say, only the most noble ingredients. There will even be normal food. Lin Fan is looking aside. In an inconspicuous corner, something contained in a utensil. It looks like it's unfinished. Lin Fan walked over. At this time, a cook in the kitchen came over in a panic. "Sorry, because the incident happened just now, I left this and confiscated it." 35. I'll take it now. And many more. Lin Fan stopped him immediately. The chef was puzzled and looked at Lin Fan. Lin Fan saw for himself what was in this basin. It was internal organs. Judging by the size, it should be beef offal. Playing with his sleeves, Lin Fan reached in and took out the beef liver. Everyone was shocked when they saw it. The chef said hurriedly, This is the beef liver that I don't want. I'll take it out now." "I'm sorry." Lin Fan shook his head and said, "Why take it out? It's an important ingredient for my next cooking." Wow, everyone in the kitchen was shocked. The man sat on the chair, got up and confirmed, "What did you say? Beef liver. And the catfish, just now. This is the new dish you're talking about? Are you sure you're not joking? If you're joking now, and you need foie gras, no matter what you ask for, how noble you need it, I'll get it for you right away." Lin Fan shook his head and said, No, no, no. Beef liver is enough." Chow Shaki stood aside and couldn't help sneering. "Cut. Sir, is this the talented boy you're talking about? This kind of ingredients, let alone the taste, even if they appear on the banquet menu, they will be regarded as contempt for the guests, and something will happen. Really young and frivolous. Looks like what a waste of my time to do this test." Lin Fan turned around, looked at Shaki and said with a smile, "Miss, don't be so absolute." The head chef of the kitchen stepped forward and said, "I can't imagine such a high-level method for such ingredients." 35. At this moment, the man calmly said, "Don't worry. Let Lin Fan finish talking. If he wants to make a finished product and finds out that he is playing tricks on us, he can't get out of this house today." The head chef nodded after hearing this and stepped back to the side. Lin Fan brought the prepared ingredients to the cooking table. The military officer Shaki on the side still had a condescending attitude, glanced at it, and said nothing. But that attitude was obvious, that he looked down on Lin Fan. The man sat beside him and said, looking at Lin Fan's previous game, he is very good at handling ingredients. 39. I don't know if I'll be lucky enough to see you today." The words were just finished. Seeing Lin Fan in the kitchen area, what he took, but everyone couldn't see clearly. Just seeing him at this time, both hands seem to be twisting something, but they can't see it. After placing the catfish on the cutting board, swish, swish, all of a sudden, the scales of the whole catfish were quickly scraped up in Lin Fan's empty hands. But in the blink of an eye, the fish was cleaned up quickly. There is not a single extra scale on the fish. The head chef on the side widened his eyes, completely unaware of what was going on. Then, subconsciously, he stepped forward to take a look, and then he understood. It's steel wire. It's the first time I've seen such a method of treating fish scales with steel wire. As soon as these words came out, the man's doubts were instantly resolved. The head chef continued, "Wonderful. Why didn't I think of that? But the use of steel wire is a great test of the technique used in Yin 0.0. If it is used improperly, it is easy to injure the hand and at the same time destroy the quality of the fish." 99. The head chef takes a closer look again. Haven't waited for him to speak. I saw Lin Fan quickly pick up the kitchen knife. Whoosh whoosh 3 times in 5 divisions. Cut the fish quickly with the knife. Pieces of fish meat that were cut off quickly flew to the plate next to them for use. This scene made everyone in the kitchen open their mouths. The man quickly got up and said in surprise, "Sure enough, what this guy said to the king before is right. His cooking skills are truly unique and priceless. What does it count for high-end ingredients?" 55. Being able to taste such unique cooking skills is the real king's treatment. Chapter 188. Fight until you're convinced. Please subscribe. For the kitchen, everyone sigh. Soldier Shaki stopped at his ears. She, who has always been confident in Sundara, seemed a little unhappy. So, she wants to salvage this situation. Then, in the next second, Shaki took out his housekeeping skills. Bang! A loud bang startled the people in the kitchen. The bodyguards instantly stood in front of the man and protected him. "Quick! Let Mr. get out of here." 35. But, seeing that the man was not in a hurry, he waved his hand and said, "There is no need to make a fuss. If I'm not mistaken, is this Miss Shaki's cooking stunt?" The bodyguards were dubious. The head chef stood aside, rubbing his eyes vigorously, with an expression of disbelief on his face. After the loud explosion, smoke billowed from the kitchen. The head kitchen was surprised. Is this destroying the kitchen or cooking? 99. What a stunt. Scary. 08-inch Shaki said with a look of contempt. What a fuss. I have never seen the world." "Sir's right. This is my explosive dish." Having said that, the military officer turned his head and looked at Lin Fan. Through the smoke, Lin Fan could vaguely see that the other party was still putting on that disdainful expression. After a while, slowly, the smoke gradually dissipated. Shaki's cooking will also be completed, and the final platter steps will be carried out. At this time, the thick smoke caused by the explosion of the oven just now turned into aroma. It is the aroma of barbecue, which instantly fills the whole kitchen. Even with the hood on, it's useless and the fragrance is pervasive. The man subconsciously swallowed. The rich and delicious aroma of this barbecue made him salivate on the tip of his tongue. As expected of a talented woman who is known as a military officer, explosive cooking. 35. The moment the blasting heats up, the meat is instantly heated, and the oven cannot achieve such an effect. 55. Speaking of which, the man subconsciously applauded. Shaki didn't react much. All of this is for granted. At this time, everyone looked at Lin Fan, seeing that he is still processing the ingredients. The bodyguard standing beside the man couldn't help but say, "I'm sorry, but I can't help but want to ask, can this kid really cook well?" At the moment, it seems that the gap between him and this Miss Shaki is not that big, except just now, after showing us the amazing knife work. The man did not speak after listening. He knew in his heart that Lin Fan could push all the way to the top in a place like Tsuki. That must be something that is capable. Before Lenovo, I had watched his games a lot, and it would always surprise people. Therefore, the man calmly smiled and said, "There is no final result yet. It's too early to make a conclusion, so early." The bodyguard nodded. Next, Shaki is ready to serve the moment when the dishes are served. Boom, a loud bang. Once again, startling people in the kitchen. The head chef patted his chest and said, "If you don't have a strong heart, you won't be able to watch this competition." 35, right at this moment. A burst of strong fragrance wafts out instantly, and this aroma. What is surprising is that it is impossible to distinguish the ingredients from the aroma alone. The head chef exclaimed, "This aroma, the aroma of this dish, is the catfish cooked with beef liver? What's up with the combination of these spices? It seems to be an unfamiliar combination of dishes. Even if you haven't seen the body of the dish, you have already developed a strong curiosity about this dish. I want to find out." The man sat aside and smiled calmly. Sure enough, I didn't see the wrong person. Lin Fan, as he said, his cooking skills are irreplaceable and unique. As the smoke gradually dissipated, Lin Fan's figure slowly returned to everyone's sight. Shaki was a little surprised. She was surprised that, before starting to cook, Lin Fan said that she knew a thing or two about explosive cooking. It can be done, and it is almost a perfect copy of her craftsmanship. Thinking that she is good at this cooking skill, Shaki noticed it at a glance. At this time, Lin Fan was holding the dishes and placed them on the cooking table. This is the Sichuan-style catfish and beef liver double pins, made by me. According to the mutual growth and mutual restraint of food, they are perfectly processed, and the two-piece cuisine is finally sautéed through the deployment of spices from the 5 elements. 99. This must be a taste experience you've never had, Lin Fan said calmly. At this time, Shaki brought her dishes. This is what I made: the French-style grilled venison of the explosive cooking. Take the most precious part of venison. After passing through my special blasting treatment, it is quickly roasted. This kind of cooking has one advantage. It takes less time, but the taste is fresh and refreshing. The man looked at the 2 dishes in front of him. From the appearance point of view, the French roast venison made by Shaki is very advanced and eye-catching at first glance. And Lin Fan's double spell is slightly inferior in appearance. But men also know that Lin Fan's cooking has always paid little attention to appearance. Of course, he also has cooking with a lot of visual experience, as well as cooking skills with a huge impact. However, men can also understand, after all, in such a hasty environment. And the great chefs seem to be a group of wild horses that are difficult to tame, and there are some who are rebellious. Therefore, I don't care much about the appearance of Lin Fan's dishes. The man subconsciously picked up Shaki's cooking. Seeing this, Shaki seemed to be winning. She believes that the man's actions have explained everything very well. Lin Fan's cuisine is ordinary, mediocre, and without special features. Not only thought, Shaki also told Lin Fan with practical actions. With those disdainful eyes, he glanced fiercely. Lin Fan didn't say anything. He was about to find out soon, so he didn't want to talk too much. Next, tasting time. Man eats a piece of venison in his mouth. Chapter 189, The Position of the First Brother in the Culinary World, is up to you. Subscribe. A man eats a piece of venison in his mouth. In an instant, the strong French spice flavor filled the entire mouth instantly. The tender venison can even be clearly felt as it bounces between the upper and lower teeth. In one bite, fresh and tender venison, the gravy overflows instantly. This is Shaki's bold use of blasting to cook the venison instantly. It is completely different from charcoal grilling and oven grilling. It is heated evenly, and the seasoning is very tasty. This taste can be said to be very top. The man took another bite. It's the taste of artichokes. 35. The unique taste of artichokes can make the grilled venison less greasy in taste. Even the taste is slightly sweet. It tastes so good. Sure enough, it is indeed Shaki, not only when cooking dishes, but also visually shocking. Even the dishes made are even more amazing. Crystal Shaki Tsundra smiled, holding her hands and looking at Lin Fan. The meaning of this expression is still disdainful. The ticket is now in hand. Lin Fan couldn't help it anymore and smiled. Are you so confident? Don't worry, a good show is yet to come. Shaki didn't take it seriously. At this time, the man put down the plate and picked up Lin Fan's Sichuan-style double spell. I usually eat more French and Italian dishes. I really haven't eaten such Chinese-style dishes. And still such a strange combination of ingredients. Catfish with beef liver. Even if you use catfish with foie gras and roe with foie gras, I don't wonder. Speaking of which, the man picked up a piece of fish. Looking at the pieces of meat wrapped in red oil, the aroma instantly hit the nostrils. Different from Shaki's grilled venison, Lin Fan's fish is more in line with the title of Shaki's military commander in terms of seasoning. Because it's hot, eat it in your mouth. Wow, all of a sudden, the hot sauce spread domineeringly in the man's entire mouth. The fiery chili instantly stimulates the senses. Pleasure comes after pain. At this time, the man had a feeling of sweating profusely. It is a feeling that cannot be described in words. The man couldn't help but picked up a piece of beef liver and ate it again. Kakaka, the tender, soft, and glutinous taste, as well as the pleasure brought by the taste to the nerves after the fragrance. Kakaka, in an instant, the man entered a state where his clothes were bursting. Wow, everyone was surprised. Shaki looked surprised and looked at Lin Fan, seeing him as if nothing had happened. How can that be? Shaki couldn't believe it. The blasting roasted venison she made can be said to be the ultimate. But after the man ate it, he didn't think he was so excited. But after eating Lin Fan's seemingly ordinary dish, this state appeared. She can't accept this fact. So, I picked up a new pair of chopsticks and picked up a piece of fish. Subconsciously put it in front of the nose to smell. In an instant, the tip of Shaki's tongue unconsciously spit out saliva. It is a typical Sichuan fragrance, and the taste of various spices is very strong. However, the amazing thing is that these spices are cleverly combined to produce a new smell. Shaki also has his own opinions on spices. Her chainsaw kitchen knife has a lot of spices in it, and when processing the ingredients, the spices can be injected smoothly. However, even so, Shaki clearly distinguished the types of these spices. But I never imagined that when they were matched with each other, it would produce such a magical effect. Even, she had some little expectations for Lin Fan's cooking. One entrance. In an instant, the flavor took over her entire taste buds. This dish did not disappoint her. The fresh and tender taste of fish meat is the essence of explosive cuisine. At the moment of blasting, the input is cooked. This method not only makes the ingredients evenly heated and taste good, but also does not cause excessive or too light. Everything was just right, just right. The earthy smell of fish was also cleaned up. There is still a bit of fat on the fish pieces, so that the meat tastes more loose, tender, and juicy. Too delicious. This is Shaki's first reaction. How can there be such a delicious way to handle it? However, Shaki held back and did not reveal her original intention. Picking up beef liver. The beef liver was on the chopsticks, swaying slightly, and drops of soup dripped down along the sliced beef liver. Attractive color. Eat again. Kakaka. Unprepared. Shaki instantly entered a state of bursting clothes. It was so unexpected that Shaki didn't react. The taste of beef liver processed by Lin Fan is smoother than foie gras. The unique Sichuan-style cooking method. The spicy taste erupts in the mouth, and the pleasure brought by stimulating the senses cannot be brought by other seasonings. Grave accent, Shaki sighed. Then, he continued, not to mention the wonderful combination of catfish and beef liver. It never occurred to me that the two would produce such a taste. 35, where lies the most powerful. Lin Fan has skillfully combined these seasonings. 95, it's not just throwing them all together at random. And that's it. It was Didi Zhao, who was precise about each spice, their proportions, and the order in which they were blended. These are the top priorities in creating the taste. It is no exaggeration to say that if the order of the spices is wrong, the taste of the whole dish will be completely changed. So, even if I think I'm very good at using spices, there is no way to accurately analyze their proportions. Awesome, it's really amazing. Shaki was intoxicated. While evaluating, enjoy the delicious food in front of you. In the eyes of others, she seems to be fantasizing about something beautiful. However, right at this moment, Lin Fan just blinked a little. Shaki suddenly changed her attitude. Immediately came back to his senses and looked at Lin Fan. Chapter 190: Control People's Hearts and Go Deep into the Enemy Situation for subscription. Shaki turned back and looked at Lin Fan. This handsome young man was looking at her indifferently. At this moment, there was an indescribable urge in Shaki's heart. Want to follow Lin Fan? Just because of this young man in front of him. The dishes made by him are really shocking. When Shaki had such an idea, she was shocked by herself. However, in the next second, Shaki couldn't control her heart and said, I lost. And I have an unkind request. I want to follow Lin Fan. Wow, all of a sudden, everyone was taken aback. The head chef said in disbelief, follow. I heard it right? How dare you say this from the mouth of the arrogant military officer Shaki? This is someone who is not convinced by anyone who can say such a thing. It can be seen that Lin Fan's cooking skills are extraordinary. The man smiled and said, in this way, isn't the overall situation settled? Student Lin is really good at craftsmanship. It's an eye-opener for us. In this matchup, I just want 117 to test it out. I'm really ashamed for having such thoughts. In this way, you will definitely be able to shine at the banquet. The future is endless. Lin Fan calmly replied, are there any other chefs at the banquet? 35. Didn't you say that there are other chefs who will be my second in command? The man thought for a while, and with a serious attitude, these things should not have been said. The man didn't know why, but his mouth was out of control, and he replied, don't worry, I will arrange a late-night cook for you to be your deputy. 5. Lin Fan laughed. I don't need them to be my deputy, I just need their whereabouts. The man was surprised, but he still couldn't control it. He asked the bodyguards to hand over the information of this group of late-night cooks to Lin Fan. Lin Fan took it and looked at it. Residence, address, phone number were meet. Carefully, every step of the way was recorded. Lin Fan took this document and turned around to leave. The man said in surprise, wait, are you leaving now? A late-night banquet in 3 days. Lin Fan turned back and smiled. The banquet? What does it have to do with me? With my cooking skills, do I still need to be dispatched? Think too much. The man was surprised. We have an agreement. 39. While speaking, the bodyguard behind him suddenly stepped forward. Lin Fan grinned. Agreement? Then look, do I have a signature? Speaking of, what I want to do, no one can stop me, just you. While speaking, Lin Fan turned around and looked at the man. If you know each other, let these dogs go away. Don't be my way. The bodyguards were inexplicably insulted and instantly became angry. However, after listening to Lin Fan's words, the man was extremely angry. After all, he is also a person with status, but he was tricked by a teenage boy, and he was angry for a while. To his surprise, he originally wanted to order the bodyguards to kill Lin Fan on the spot. Let this kid know that the world is dangerous. As a result, he couldn't control his words. It should be said that his heart actually contradicted, and he didn't want to catch Lin Fan. So he waved at the bodyguard and said, don't stop him, let him go. The bodyguards were surprised and looked at the man, thinking they had some plan. However, the man just shook his head calmly and didn't say anything more. The people in the kitchen looked at Lin Fan and calmly turned to leave. At this time, Shaki saw this, ignoring him, and hurriedly chased after him. And many more. After getting out of the cruise ship, Shaki stopped Lin Fan. Lin Fan looks back. Shaki took a deep breath, strode up, and said that. What I just said, follow you. Shaki hesitated and said this sentence several times. Some felt embarrassed. After all, the slap in the face came too quickly. But when you think about Lin Fan's cooking skills, it's nothing. After all, she knew the huge power behind a man. A person who can speak so arrogantly in front of a man and retreat completely has proven Lin Fan's strength. So, no shame to follow someone like Lin Fan. Lin Fan was not surprised by Shaki's actions. After receiving the influence of the eighth array, Shaki was either forcibly controlled, or her original intention was infinitely expanded. At this point, Lin Fan thought for a while, then pretended to be calm and smiled. What I said before was just a joke. With your cooking skills, as you said before, you don't need to follow me. When Shaki heard this, she became anxious. The previous Sundara is gone. Immediately waved his hand and said, "No, I apologize to you for what I said earlier. After seeing your cooking skills, I truly surrender to you from the bottom of my heart." Lin Fan laughed. "Since that's the case, I can think about it." Shaki looked surprised. Lin Fan continued, "If you want to follow me, I've said it just now about the maid outfit," and without waiting for Shaki to refute, Lin Fan continued, "In order to prove your sincerity, there is no ulterior motive. We must sign a master-servant contract. 99, of course, I won't force you either." 35, after Lin Fan finished speaking, he turned to leave. To normal people, Lin Fan's request seems outrageous, due to the fact that the eighth array was at work. Shaki nodded without hesitation. "I promise you." 35 Lin Fan turned around and smiled. The 8 magic arrays were never used in Totsuki before. I didn't expect this cooking skill to be so useful. Shaki walked side by side with Lin Fan and asked, "Where are we going now?" Lin Fan said, "Isn't there any information? However, with you around, I feel that the information is no longer important. The top priority, of course, is to meet the remaining late-night cooks." Chapter 191, The Meeting of the Late-Night Cook. Subscribe. After nightfall, Lin Fan and Shaki sat in a pub until late at night, just to go to a good show. 11 p.m., Lin Fan got up and came out of the izakaya. Shaki followed closely and said, "Are you sure? Have you figured it out? Perhaps you didn't know the nature of a late-night cook before, but just now I told you. It was very clear. The late-night cook, his love for cooking is greater than his own life, as long as you can cook perfectly, even if you sacrifice your life. So, I still think, don't get involved in it." Lin Fan walked and said with a smile, "Do you look like I'm scared? Just from your remarks, I don't think how terrible it is to cook late at night." 99. On the contrary, in my memory, there's a place where their cooks can be called terrible. Don't die. So, you don't need to persuade. Originally, I had nothing to do with this matter, but recently, late-night cooks have frequently appeared and invaded the food industry. 35. It has seriously affected the ecological balance of the food circle. Or rather, I absolutely don't allow it to run wild like this on my territory. Shaki was surprised. "Your territory?" Lin Fan laughed. "Isn't it?" 35. The food industry in this country will be under my control in the future. Shaki took a deep breath after hearing this. The young man in front of him spoke with an attitude that didn't seem like a joke at all, just talking casually. She also finally understood why Lin Fan was so diligent about cooking people late at night. At first, I thought that he was a bit of a nosy. But after hearing this, I instantly understood. It was like his own territory was suddenly invaded. Then the next step is to remove all these intruders. Shaki will also have some doubts, although Lin Fan's strength has been experienced by herself. But a person has to contend with the whole late-night cook, and he always hits the stone with an egg. However, since the young boy had made up his mind, he followed it wholeheartedly. Don't think too much about these things. Some hidden place in the city Lin Fan came here according to the address provided by Shaki. A secluded corner shop. The location is very secret. If not deliberately, it is difficult for anyone to know that this is a restaurant. Lin Fan stood outside the restaurant and said, "That's it. Late night, rally tonight." 35 Shaki nodded and said, "Yes, this is the location that was determined a few days ago. You can also see the location of this small shop, and it is inevitable that the business is not good. The late-night cook, through means, plundered this shop and used it as a meeting point in the short term. There may be occasional guests during the day, but after 10 o'clock at night, almost no one will come. In this way, it has become a paradise for late-night cook parties." Lin Fan smiled and said, "Then I really can't wait. I want to go and meet them." Whoa. Doors pushed open. Lin Fan calmly walked into the small restaurant. The moment after entering the door, everyone's eyes suddenly fell on Lin Fan. Shaki came in after him. At this time, the atmosphere in the restaurant is very delicate. No one spoke. His face was expressionless, and he looked at Lin Fan as if he were looking at an alien species. This party is the gathering of all the late-night cooks in Tokyo. It is impossible to guarantee that each of them knows each other. So no one who comes in will be greeted by such eyes? Lin Fan didn't speak, walked over silently, and sat down at the bar. At this time, from the bar, a shriveled old man came out pushing a wheelchair. There's a bottle hanging in the hand. He looked helpless. As soon as he came out, he looked at Lin Fan and then at Shaki. Only then did the old man begin. Army Shaki. In the evening, I lost a Lin Fan and signed a contract with that guy. And since then, I have followed unconditionally. So, from the moment the contract was signed, Shaki was no longer part of the late-night cook. 95 after that, the old man looked at Lin Fan and said, "You should be Lin Fan with Shaki, right? 95-0, flower 00. I heard long ago that you, oh no, you've been looking for the whereabouts of the late-night cook. It's really better to choose a day than to hit the sun. I didn't expect to meet you, a talented chef, so soon." When the old man said this, no one else in the room responded at all. As if it had already been calculated, Lin Fan will be back tonight. The old man then continued. "By the way, haven't I introduced myself yet? My name is Tokima Bingoro." After Lin Fan heard it, not much has changed, because he didn't know Tashiyama Bingoro. At this time, Shaki explained from the side, "Senior Ruishan, Zhijin is a very powerful chef with strength surpassing that of star chefs. What's even more amazing is that Zhijin serves as the exclusive chef of the Nishikin Toishu group. Since the first generation, I have served 3 generations of team leaders." After hearing this, Lin Fan wondered, since he is so powerful, why is he willing to serve others? 39. I really don't understand the organization of late-night cooks. Obviously, everyone says that it is for the sake of cooking, people who can throw their heads and shed their blood. At the end of the day, learning deep cooking is just to please others. Before the old man could speak, the people behind Lin Fan expressed dissatisfaction. "Stinky boy, are you too arrogant? What nonsense are you talking about? Keep improving your cooking skills. Isn't it just to be able to make the best dishes?" Lin Fan nodded and said, "That's right. But you seem to be getting it wrong. The perfect cooking needs to be tasted by someone who understands it. This autonomy is in my hands, not blindly serving others. That's really sad." At this time, the old man finally said, "Young man, I have heard about your deeds. 35, if nothing else, we will meet at the blue competition, but now we will meet in advance, but for your remarks, it's a little too frivolous." Chapter 192. Huang Guang, the self-proclaimed king of poisonous food cooking. Please subscribe. Tokima Hayagoro's words meant that Lin Fan wanted to restrain himself a little. However, this is precisely the point. Lin Fan can't do it. After all, the strength is here. Whoa, at this time, the door was pushed open again. A man in a mask walked in. Others in the restaurant started talking. Huang Guang, he actually came too. I really didn't expect this guy to come to Tokyo. It is said that his poisonous meal is superb. Even if the eater knows it, as long as he can taste it, he will die without regret. And his kitchen utensils, like 5 minions, are amazing. These words, Lin Fan heard in his ears, felt a little ridiculous. At this time, this male 117, known as the master of poisonous food cooking, silently stepped forward, glanced at Lin Fan, and sat down. Before he could wait for Yamei Goro to speak, Huang Guang said calmly, "This is Lin Fan? You don't come here. I didn't expect it to be very fast." There is some irony in the words. The person sitting on Huang Yuang's side replied, "It's not thanks to the person next to him." At this time, everyone's eyes turned to Shaki. Huang Guang replied indifferently, "What's the matter? Whoever is strong will submit to whoever is stronger. There is nothing to say about it. If you feel unconvinced, you are better than others, and you will have more followers." Men are not talking. Seeing this, Ruishan Bingoro replied, "I didn't expect you to come today." Huang Guang turned his head to Lin Fan and replied, "Isn't that because of this distinguished guest tonight? The game mechanism of halberd must have attracted late-night cooks all over the world. This is the one who is here. At a young age, he can instantly open up his reputation in the food industry. 5. I also watch a lot of his related videos, and also, even the arrogant guy of the king was defeated by him. At this time, I was still lying in the hospital, my whole body was stiff, and my mind was unconscious. 6. Having said this, Huang Guang got up and walked towards Lin Fan. Speaking of the king lying in the hospital, I didn't expect that you, this young man, is actually good at this kind of cooking. Wonderful, really wonderful. I'm here today because I want to meet you. And you must have come to the place where you cook in the middle of the night without authorization. Isn't that what you were doing? After Tokima Bingoro heard this, his godless eyes seemed to see hope again. So he said, "At my age, I can no longer cook by myself. But if there is still a chance, taste the cuisine of the young generation of elite chefs. Even if it is highly poisonous, then I will die with no regrets." When Tokima Bingoro said this, he was very serious and did not joke at all. After all, he regards cooking as life. Originally, I thought that I couldn't cook my favorite dishes, but my heart was dead. If you can taste the unparalleled delicacy, and you are killed by poison like this, then there is no regret. So, Tokima Bingoro said with a firm attitude, since Lin Fan's purpose is already clear, Huang Guang has already expressed his attitude. So why don't the two of you release your chips? 5. Who is better at cooking? We will only know by comparison. Isn't that the theme of tonight's late-night cook party? After Lin Fan heard this, he calmly replied, "What about the leader of the late-night cook at this party? He won't come." After hearing this, Tokima Bingoro smiled calmly. "It turns out that the purpose of your visit this time is for him." 99. Unfortunately, not every late-night cook party he will come. After all, he has his business too. 35. In this case, Lin Fan felt a little regretful. But if you want to find the leader, you can subdue the person in front of you, and the next thing will be much smoother. Therefore, Lin Fan smiled and said, since everyone likes it so much and is good at cooking poisonous meals, then this time, let's see whose poison cooking is more perfect. Huang Guang smiled and said, "Humph. Is it so direct when you come up? You must know that the Huang family has had a profound research on poisons since the southern and northern dynasties in China. It wasn't until later that the Huang family, who played poison in applause, applied this technique to the ingredients. It is good at using the properties of poisons to generate and suppress each other, to defuse them ingeniously, and they can also produce highly poisonous. You brat, you understand a little bit. Are you sure you want to compare this to me?" Lin Fan grinned. "I've come here, isn't it just for your stunt? Otherwise, what's the use of me coming here?" Speaking of which, Lin Fan thought of the discussion just now. So he said, "As for the bet, cooking someone late at night should look like a late-night cook. Since we are all good at controlling poisonous meals, then how about each giving his own life? If you lose, it's not difficult to let the poison attack in the body, right?" Huang Guang was stunned, but he didn't expect Lin Fan to be so bold. How can it be possible to control the outbreak of poison in the body to a young boy like him? Even if he is very experienced in using poisons, he only changes the properties of poisons. It sounds outrageous to make food non-toxic when eaten, and after eating it, it can change the properties of the poison and make it poisonous. But Huang Guang can do it. Let this toxicity remain in the body and resolve it through the relationship between other food and things. So, Huang Guang agreed with Lin Fan without hesitation. At this point, Lin Fan continued, "By the way, someone said just now that you have ancestral kitchen utensils. Why don't you play a little bigger? And how about attaching the other party's kitchen utensils? Although I don't like your kitchen utensils, they're trophies after all, and it would be good to put them in the store for decoration in the future. Do decoration." When Huang Guang heard this, he felt insulted. So, without hesitation, he replied, "If you want to make a bet with my ancestral kitchen utensils, you can. I remember that you also have a lot of kitchen utensils, such as a pot. I am very interested." Chapter 193, Zhuanlongu vs. Mo Lupao. Subscription. Turn the dragon pot? Lin Fan said calmly. After Huang Guang heard it, he said in a small tone, "Yes, it is the Zhuanlong pot. I have paid attention to your halberd meal. That pot is quite interesting. It can cook food in an instant. I'm betting on the family inheritance of Inkliozwa. How about you bet on Zhuanlongu?" Lin Fan thought for a while, then smiled. "I can promise you, but it depends on whether you have the ability to get it." Huang Guang sneered. "That's my business, you don't need to worry about it. 35. Since everything has been said, there are so many witnesses. Then there's no need to talk nonsense, right? Lin Fan turned his neck and replied, "Okay, let's get started." Having said that, Lin Fan didn't care about other people's opinions. He walked silently to the cooking area of the restaurant. In such a small shop, you don't have to go to the kitchen too deliberately. Everyone 08 is sitting around the cooking area. The middle area is the cooking area. Walking inside, Lin Fan picked up the waistband and tied it. Huang Guang saw this and walked over silently. However, because the area is too small, there is no way to accommodate two people. Lin Fan didn't even want to get out of the way. Huang Guang didn't say anything when he saw this. The distance between the two is relatively close, and the kitchen utensils used are also limited. Lin Fan took a look at the ingredients and found that they couldn't compare to Totsuki's high-end ingredients. They were all very ordinary. Among the common ingredients, Lin Fan saw horse meat. Surprised all of a sudden. There are very few small restaurants that carry such ingredients on their backs. On the other hand, the freshly delivered whole mutton was simply sliced and not carefully processed. Lin Fan walked over, leaned over, and started rummaging. Soon, an ingredient was turned out in the mutton. Everyone looked closely. It was lamb belly. Someone is starting to get curious. Is it lamb's belly? It seems that this guy Lin Fan is not only good at handling high-grade ingredients, but also mediocre. Have you forgotten? Didn't you just use a piece of beef liver to defeat Shaki during the day? It seems to have made a dish comparable to foie gras. No, it is more luxurious and delicious than foie gras, and the gentleman who ate it was applauded one after another. So, Shaki is not convinced by this dish. Now that there is something about lamb tripe, I am really curious. How many novel things are in Lin Fan's head? Everyone was talking. Huang Guang on the side was just silently preparing the dishes. Mainly, wearing a mask from beginning to end, there is no way to confirm his expression. On Lin Fan's side, it has always been his habit to not speak when cooking. Earlier, it was all because of the relationship between host Rei Kawashima when eating halberd, always chatting on the side to liven up the atmosphere. At this time, after this little atmosphere, the scene was obviously a little nervous. Huang Guang glanced at Lin Fan subconsciously. Looking at the young man beside him, he didn't use any surprising cooking skills. He was just washing rice seriously. Then wash the lamb belly. At this time, Huang Guang couldn't help but ask, "You came empty-handed. I think you should ask Shaki to call someone and bring the Zhuanlong pot. In this case, I will not have to wait after the competition is over." 39 Lin Fan still handled the ingredients in his hand and smiled. Say something that shouldn't be said. It's not that I wanted to fault or anything. I don't think you can beat me at all. If you really lose to you, I will definitely order someone to deliver it to you in person, wherever you are in the world. So, I think, instead of having the time to talk to me, you might as well focus on cooking. 99. Don't let your cooking make it so embarrassing to lose. 35. Wow. In the small restaurant, because of Lin Fan's words, it instantly boiled. Other late-night cooks whistled, clapped their hands, and were very emotional. It seems that this is the characteristic of a late-night chef duel. Huang Guang didn't say anything more. Lin Fan has always been able to speak well because he has learned a lot from other places. So I don't want to spend time talking nonsense. Lin Fan is obviously much more popular than Huang Guang for cooking. Everyone's eyes were almost focused on him. After all, he is the hottest young chef of the moment. Many amazing dishes have been made before, and everyone wants to see with their own eyes whether the rumors are true. Are the cooking skills used by Lin Fan added to the special effects? However, people watch for a long time, but Lin Fan never made much movement. On the contrary, it was Huang Zhuang's side. Seeing him suddenly pick up a piece of fresh beef, Kakaka, on the fingers of his right hand, 5 finger cuts suddenly appeared. 5 sharp finger cuffs. It looks as sharp as eagle claws. At this moment, someone shouted in surprise, "It's Mo Lu Pao." Huang Guang took out his family's ancestral kitchen utensils. Mo Yozu. Another person replied, "Yes, it should be Mo Lu Pao." 35 Lin Fan. Even if he loses this game, he won't lose. After all, it's been passed down from generation to generation. It's all accumulated experience over the years. He is a young boy, even if his cooking skills are high. How can he compare with the experience accumulated by others? After hearing this, Huang Guang smiled calmly and said, "This is Mo Yozhua. The great thing about it is that it can turn ordinary special beef into high-grade beef in an instant. Totally change the taste of it." Having said this, Huang Yuan continued to say, "I heard that you also have a kitchen knife called the Yongling knife. It is also possible to instantly make stale ingredients fresh. Actually, I want to say that you and I have fate. Looking at this special fate, I can actually let go of the water a little bit so that you won't lose so embarrassingly. The only regret is that I can't personally witness that Mo Luclaw defeated the Yongling sword." Lin Fan just smiled calmly. This guy is really arrogant. It seems that if he doesn't beat him to autism, he really doesn't know how sinister this world is. So, Lin Fan turned on the system in his body. Brush out the Yongling knife. Then he stepped aside and picked up the jacket he took off. Chapter 194. The Garuda sword appears again. Subscribe. Lin Fan picked up the coat. Everyone was puzzled until he took out a Garuda sword from inside. Everyone was shocked. It's premeditated? It's already calculated that it will compete with cooking skills. Have a kitchen knife with you? Wait, this kitchen knife seems to be very special. Have you noticed the patterns on the knife? Could it be? I heard before that Lin Fan has a kitchen knife that can instantly make meat ingredients fresh. Is it the Garuda sword? That's right, it's the Garuda sword. There's a pattern of phoenix on the blade. It looks like this is the right sword. It is said that when this knife came out, it shocked the audience. It's been a few years since I saw the real face. I don't know if it was like that. The other cooks were talking about the Garuda sword in Lin Fan's hand. Lin Fan himself didn't want to take out the knife, but Mrs. Huang Wang took him seriously. Lin Fan knows about the structure of Mo Lu's claw. If you don't take out the Garuda sword, I'm afraid this guy doesn't know what it means to have a sky outside the sky. Really, Huang Guang was very interested in this Garuda sword. His eyes stayed on the knife, but he didn't speak. Lin Fan laughed. "It's very curious, right? I have used this knife before, and by coincidence, it has the same effect as your Mo Lu claw and can also make meat ingredients fresh. 35 but comparing the two kitchen utensils, mine is obviously better than your ink claws." Huang Guang was displeased after hearing this and replied, "Boy, is it too early to talk big?" Lin Fan shook his head and said, "This Garuda knife uses the meat ingredients to change the texture of the meat through the user's cooking skills, making it fresher. However, what is hidden in this Mo Lu claw of yours? You should know better than me in your heart. Through the use of seasonings, the taste of the ingredients is changed, or the taste buds of the eater are paralyzed, so as to achieve freshness. Following the essence, completely freshening the ingredients, and making them more palatable are two different things." Huang Guang was a little surprised. He was puzzled how Lin Fan could analyze Mo Yozhua just by looking at it. What Lin Fan said, the function of the Garuda sword is really too outrageous. Even if he had learned about it before, he still felt that there must be a hidden mechanism on the kitchen knife. In this way, in the process of making, the matched seasonings are injected into the ingredients. Otherwise, how could it be possible to directly change the meat quality with just a kitchen knife? This is so bullshit. Huang Guang thought for a while, but didn't say anything. The finished product will give you a complete answer. At this time, Lin Fan picked up the Garuda sword in his hand. Whizzing cut the horse meat quickly. Next up is the lamb belly, the lamb tripe that was cut into strips, and the sliced horse meat drew an arc in the air. Then fall into the vessel. This is Lin Fan's best and most common knife work. And these late-night cooks in front of them are almost the first time they have seen them at the scene. This scene is really too shocking. Chefs in this world have always focused on cooking skills and are obsessed with high-end ingredients. Few people really pay attention to the cooking skills themselves, the most basic knife skills. They feel that an excellent chef must have excellent knife skills. But I don't know, the original swordsman can be so immersive. Even Sha Qi, who watched it for the second time, had to sigh and admire again. How did this guy Lin Fan develop his cooking skills? Not only that, Huang Guang is even more. At this moment, he suddenly realized that he might have underestimated Lin Fan before. After all, to be able to climb from a place like Totsuki to the top, there must be his strength. Not to be underestimated. This is what Guang is thinking at this moment. So, he got more serious and continued to cook. The atmosphere seemed tense. To be precise, it should be just Guang's unilateral tense atmosphere. On Lin Fan's side, it's no different from the usual cooking. But from the looks of it, not much has changed. Even a little slack. Take it easy, it's always been Lin Fan's style of cooking. At this time, Lin Fan, after preparing all the ingredients, put them into the casserole and boiled them. Looking back at Guang, he smiled and said, "You do it slowly, don't worry, the time limit is 1 hour. 55? I've already made it all, just wait for it to come out of the pot. It can be considered to make room for you. Don't worry." This is quite ironic. Guang listened to his heart. While cooking, the fantasies tossing and turning in your head. After defeating Lin Fan, what kind of ruthless character is he going to trample him? To let the other party know that it is terrible to talk big, and to talk big in front of him. However, Lin Fan didn't feel Guang's anger at all. After all, he was wearing a mask. At this time, it was in full view. Lin Fan walked out of the cooking area and found a seat to sit down. He took out his mobile phone, looked indifferent, and swiped his phone calmly. When everyone saw this, they were both surprised and puzzled. Good, that's it? That's it. You don't take the other side too seriously, do you? It's not a big deal to be young and energetic, but this kind of contempt for the opponent, and the opponent still has a very strong strength. This is too outrageous. Although Lin Fan's record is excellent, the opponents are all students from Totsuki, right? Students and chefs from the Totsuki department. Can they be compared with the masters outside? Too arrogant. This young man is too arrogant. Even if his cooking skills are amazing, something will happen sooner or later. The point is, so far, I haven't seen a reason. What are you doing? Cooking horse meat and porridge? A group of people were discussing in a few words. Lin Fan has heard too many of these words. Don't care at all. Over time, until the aroma drifts out of the pot. Chapter 195, Horse Meat Porridge and Lamb Tripe Sandwich. Absolutely. Subscribe. At this time, the aroma in the casserole has slowly drifted out. The fragrance of rice porridge is paired with meat. The cooks in the small restaurant began to lose their temper. By the way, the porridge in the casserole, Lin Fan put horse meat in it? The aroma doesn't look like lamb tripe. 5, it should be. I didn't notice much just now. This guy has combined horse meat with porridge to make horse meat porridge. In terms of lamb tripe, what does Lin Fan do? Could it be paired with horse meat porridge? Watching this guy cook, he doesn't know what he's doing until the last minute. Everyone was talking, but that didn't stop Lin Fan from swiping his phone calmly. It didn't hinder the aroma in the pot came out strongly. At this time, Lin Fan looked at the ingredients area again, and there was a bag of flour. Just bring the flour over. Someone asked curiously, "Do you still need flour?" As far as I know, Lin Fan's noodle dishes are very tough. I've done that before. What is it called? Bai Luo Snake Turns the Chain? 35. With a set of rotating theories and faces, I shocked everyone on the spot. I don't know if I can see 130 today. If I hadn't witnessed a face-mixing technique like that with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. At this time, Lin Fan didn't say much. In the kitchen area again, I found a slightly longer rolling pin. Another person was pleasantly surprised. He really wants to make pasta. Come on, could it be the Bailuo snake turning the chain? Having said that, all eyes fell on Lin Fan again. The Bailuo snake turns the chain. This is simply a legend in the industry. Yes, Lin Fan's own rotation theory, through the speed of rotation, to control the strength of the face. At that time, it turned the scene upside down. Even now, some people mention that scene, and they still talk about it. 99, another group of people are discussing. Guang was naturally curious when he heard this. Although it was nothing on the surface, secretly, he kept staring at Lin Fan from the corner of his eye. There's nothing better than wearing a mask. At this time, Lin Fan poured out the flour. Our familiar steps. It's just that the original slender stick has been replaced into a rolling pin. While holding the water bowl, stir slowly. Clockwise, stirring slowly. Huang Guang had also heard about it for a long time and subconsciously stopped the movements of his hands. I saw that the stick in Lin Fan's hand, while speeding up, also draws a bigger circle from the inside to the outside. It's getting faster and faster. At this time, another question. I've seen the video, although the method is the same, through rotation. But this time, there is not as much flour as before, and Lin Fan only uses a rolling pin. 5. Will it fail to achieve the expected effect due to the limitation of kitchen utensils? The chef's question is also something that everyone is puzzled by. But then, Lin Fan instantly lifted their confusion. The rolling pin in Lin Fan's hand is spinning faster and faster. Boom boom and muffled sound. A white, python-like face rose to the ground in an instant. Compared with the previous giant python, this python is much smaller in size and damage. However, even so, the shock of the crowd is still indispensable. It was also the first time for this group of cooks to see a chef who kneaded noodles as if they were practicing kung fu. Even it gives an illusion. The dough was ordered by Lin Fan, and as long as he gave an order, it would rush to the cook and devour them all. This white boa constrictor began to climb from one end of the rolling pin, twisting, until the python broke away from the rolling pin as a support point. It still twisted its body. Wow, everyone was stunned, including Huang Guang. Huang Guang whispered, "This is a noodle soup? It's outrageous. It's actually possible to make noodles like this. It's actually true." Tokima Hayaguro, who was sitting in a wheelchair, could not wait to get up from the wheelchair immediately. "Want to get closer to find out." Tokima Bingoro sighed. "This is incredible. It's just making noodles. It can be so shocking. I didn't really believe it before, even though my friends told me it was the same on set, without any special effects. 55, but I still can't believe it, because ordinary people can't do it at all. But what I didn't expect is that Lin Fan is not an ordinary person. This Bailuo snake turns the chain, retracts it freely, and the arm strength used in the rotation is just right. I have no regrets to see such an exciting cooking in my lifetime." The other cooks were even more excited. The Bailuo snake turns the chain, and it really is true. This is too shocking. 33. This guy Lin Fan's cooking skills are really amazing. One can imagine what kind of master his master will be. I heard earlier that his master has passed away. What a pity. 99. Amid the controversy, Lin Fan went on to handle the ingredients. At this time, he did not forget to look back at Huang Zhuang. "What? This surprised you? If you don't work harder, you might lose completely." 99. Lin Fan sneered and blurted out lightly, although I can't see the expression of Huang Guang gnashing his teeth. But judging from the fact that his clenched fist was still shaking, this guy was so angry. Lin Fan was still calm and composed, dividing the reconciled dough into famous recipes one by one. Lin Fan spread them into cakes one by one. After the temperature rises, the aroma of noodles emitted after baking fills the entire small restaurant. The scent even escaped from the restaurant and wafted on the street outside. At this time, it also attracted passersby outside. "Whoa, whoa." The door was pushed open, and a passerby said directly, "So there's a small restaurant here too. It's too remote to find it. If it weren't for the scent just now." Halfway through the sentence, he looked up and saw a room full of people. The man was stunned. Am I going wrong? Or is it a private party? Having said that, the man quickly waved his hand and said, Sorry. I didn't know. It was already reserved. Turn around and prepare to go." At this time, a golden light burst out in an instant with a strong aroma. Chapter 196, Horse Meat Porridge with Lamb Tripe and Bun. A perfect match. Please subscribe. The passerby just turned around when he suddenly found a golden light bursting out. In an instant, he passed behind him and took care of the road outside. In the dark night, especially this kind of remote and small corner without lights, it is extraordinarily bright. The passersby were taken aback and turned around quickly. At this time, on the stove in front of Lin Fan, the golden light came out from the casserole on the stove. The man was surprised. "This isn't cooking. There is actually a golden light in the pot, and the party is late at night. What special effects are you studying?" Having said this, the man thought for a while and continued to say, As a food lover, there are really people in this world who can cook special effects. That's Lin Fan, Tsuki's student this year. 35 at this time, Tokima Bingoro, who was in a wheelchair, said calmly, "Do you still know Lin Fan?" When a man heard what the other party said, he instantly became interested. He turned his head again, took 2 steps forward, and said, "Of course." No other country dares to say it. In today's Japanese food industry, as long as the name of Lin Fan is mentioned, no one should not know it. If you don't know someone, you must know their names. It is because of Lin Fan that Tsuki, who has been quiet for a long time, has once again proved to the world that he is a holy place for chefs. Speaking of which, men are more and more curious. Because the fragrance was overflowing, this made him approach the cooking area. I can smell the aroma of cooking in the restaurant. Could it be that the owner of this restaurant has developed a luminous cuisine? 5. Now there are more and more people imitating Lin Fan's cooking on the internet. After speaking, he looked at Lin Fan again and said, "Hey, this young chef looks familiar." Tokima Bingoro calmly replied, "He is the Lin Fan you said." The man was startled again in an instant, unable to believe his eyes. After rubbing it a few times, I leaned in and looked carefully. I said, "Why do you look so familiar? It's actually Lin Fan." "Oh my God, you're lucky, right? It's actually Lin Fan. I'm a big fan of yours. Although I haven't been there to watch your game in person. But every one of your competitions, I never fail, and I found relevant videos on the internet. In the early days, it was because I wasn't a student of Tsuki, so I couldn't watch it. Later, it was because the tickets were too popular, but this time, I'm ready in advance. The final game of the Elite Chef competition. The tickets are all ready. This time, I will definitely cheer for you personally. It's amazing. I'm really lucky to meet you here today." The man babbled a lot. Only then did I realize that there was no other person in the room talking except him. Some feel abrupt. He quickly changed the subject and said, "I'm sorry for the delay, because it's so exciting. By the way, is Lin Fan cooking? What's in this pot? It's so fragrant." 35. I came here because of the smell after the fragrance drifted outside. At this time, like this passerby, who smelled the scent and searched for the door, 2 or 3 more came in one after another. After everyone came in, they were shocked by the scene in front of them. I didn't expect such an inconspicuous small restaurant to gather so many people. It seems that the boss's craftsmanship should be good. The previous man heard other people's doubts and quickly said kindly, "People who cook dishes are not ordinary people. He's Lin Fan." The people who came in were shocked. They all stepped forward. "Really Lin Fan?" I followed the room when I saw the light bursting out of the room. 55. I should have thought of it long ago, except for Lin Fan. I haven't seen anyone else cook it. "Really Lin Fan?" So this is Lin Fan's restaurant in a back alley. The people who come here shouldn't be ordinary people, right? It's so low-key, I don't want people to know about it. Ask for Flower 00. So, would you be lucky enough to taste it today? More and more passers-by came in, and the room was instantly filled with people. The sudden episode left Lin Fan dumbfounded. The cooks were also very helpless, not knowing that Lin Fan had such a profound influence in the Japanese food industry. At this time, Lin Fan said along the way, "Since that's the case, that's it. Everyone has come in. Why don't you all witness?" People are puzzled. Lin Fan continued, "I'm exchanging craftsmanship with this very capable chef. It was originally a private matter, and I never thought it would affect everyone." "Well then, if you have time, why don't you let everyone judge?" The passers-by who came in were pleasantly surprised. "There is such a thing? There is such a good thing? Of course I will not refuse. So, can we also experience the judging? It's great to be able to taste Lin Fan's cooking. This once-in-a-lifetime opportunity should be agreed without hesitation." 39. What are you doing? Come and taste it. I can't wait. It's so fragrant. It smells like rice, baked noodles, and meat. Lin Fan, what kind of food are you making? In the face of everyone's questions, Lin Fan smiled calmly and looked a Huanguang. He was also a little surprised by this sudden episode. But Lin Fan is right. Conquering the taste buds of passers-by has always been what he is best at. So it's the default. Lin Fan smiled at this time. This dish I made is more Chinese style, as the weather turns cooler. A steaming bowl of horse meat porridge is paired with the very Chinese style rujiamo. 39 of course. Here, I change the rujiamo to the sheep tripe and horse rujiamo. The taste will be more delicious, someone hurriedly replied. If that's the case, then let's try it. Chapter 197, I can't even accept it. The cooking table is absolutely perfect. Subscribe. Lin Fan took out the bowls. Start scooping the porridge out of the casserole. It was steaming hot and exuding a tempting fragrance, which made everyone eager to see. Then, take out the baked bread again. Looking at the golden and crispy dough being baked, everyone didn't quite understand what Lin Fan would do next. A knife cut through the middle of the dough, ka-ka-ka. At the moment when the blade pierced the dough, the crisp sound instantly entered the ear. It's so eloquent. Next, see Lin Fan stuffing the prepared ingredients into the dough. It looks like it should be lamb tripe and shredded horse meat. Horse meat porridge and lamb tripe buns? It's quite special. 35. Yes, is horse meat delicious? Seriously, I have never eaten it, let alone such a wonderful combination. However, there are 130 who have tried Zhonghhua's rujiamo, and it is really delicious. But the lamb tripe with horse meat has never been eaten. Passers-by questioned. Lin Fan is quickly making the corresponding weight. Then he said, generally speaking, horse meat is not a regular ingredient, but that doesn't mean it's not a good ingredient. Because of the lack of fat, if it is not handled properly, the taste will be rather clumsy and even a little sour. 99. But it's also because of year-round exercise that makes the meat firmer. So, this is a great test of the chef's cooking skills and skills. 35. As long as the advantages of horse meat can be used reasonably, it will be beyond people's cognition, a very delicious dish. 5. While talking, Lin Fan put the prepared dishes in front of passers-by who were sitting in a circle. A bowl of steaming horse meat porridge paired with a sandwich. It seems very simple, and the appearance is not very experienced. But under this simple exterior, it can't hide the amazing inside. The scent keeps going out. There are already people, and they can't wait to pick up the jiamo. Take a bite. Kakaka, the crispy crust explodes right away. What follows is the specially treated lamb tripe, which is fresh and crisp and tastes very elastic. It is paired with lamb tripe and horse meat that has been marinated until soft. It already has a melt-in-your-mouth taste. After the entrance, it is quickly mixed with the lamb tripe to form a new taste. When paired with the buns on the outside, the taste is simply heavenly. A passerby instantly exclaimed, "This is called bun, right? I said just now that I have eaten steamed buns, but generally the focus is on the ingredients inside. But this bun is just an ordinary bun, and I can actually taste the strictness of the chef's combination and strength when mixing noodles. It's delicious, isn't it? It was baked just right, crispy, and even with a hint of sweetness. And this sweetness is not through the combination of external seasonings, but the sweetness of its own noodles. Talking about the ingredients in it, the horse meat really doesn't taste like firewood at all, and it has a sour taste instead. The rich soup has been simmered to the point of softness, and the taste is even more delicious because of a little bit of fat. Sheep belly, the timing is just right. If it's a second longer, I'm afraid there will be no such crispy taste. The cooks around him were even more surprised when they ate it. Yes, this lamb tripe is made in a cold way, and it is paired with the sauce-flavored horse meat. The two are combined into one in the mouth. It's really beautiful. 99 on the other side. The cook who tasted the horse meat porridge immediately exclaimed, "Horse porridge tastes so clever." 35 after everyone heard it, they took a look. He didn't think about anything else, and hurriedly picked up the porridge in their hands. At this time, each incarnation turned into a ruthless iron mouth and ate it directly. Horse meat is less fat, less greasy, and has a high quality and unique taste that instantly blends with rice porridge. The fresh, salty aroma instantly fills the entire taste buds. There is no greasy feeling at all, and I even feel that it becomes more refreshing and greasy after matching with jiamo. And because winter is coming soon, the weather is getting colder. This combination is eaten with a bite, and it warms directly to the stomach, which is very comfortable. It warms the stomach. This horse meat is so delicious, beyond my imagination. 39. The Yongdu Jama is also, it could be eaten together like this. This bun is so crispy on the outside. This reminds me, during the Tsuki Moon Festival, a student also made a similar dish to steam bun. I tried it at the time and thought it was the best, but I didn't expect it to surpass it. Even the late-night cooks, no one does not admire Lin Fan's cooking. There is no ability to control people's hearts at all. This is what they come from the heart. Seeing this, Huang Guwang on the side must be unconvinced. Lin Fan had already guessed it. Deliberately keep a copy and put it in front of Huang Guwang. Have a taste of it. Won't all your doubts be dispelled? Huang Guwang looked at the combination of dishes pushed in front of him. Even if Lin Fan didn't say it, he would take the initiative to ask for a copy to try it. Only by tasting it with your own mouth can you convince yourself. Picking up the jama, Huang Guwang was not impatient to eat like the others. Instinctively looked at it. In addition to Lin Fan's stunts in kneading noodles, this one in his hand is nothing more than an ordinary steamed bun. The noodles are made into steamed buns or ramen, and there's a lot of space. In Huang Guwang's view, it was just a cake baked. It's delicious, and it can go to heaven. So, with this mentality, Huang Guwang took a bite of the jama. Kakaka. The moment his upper and lower teeth touched jama, his previous thoughts disappeared instantly. Crispy buns. And it's not simply crispy. This jama is actually 0.0 composed of several layers. Huang Guwang blurted out in disbelief. Lin Fan smiled calmly. It's not several layers, it's 1,000 layers. 99. In order to increase the taste, I specially made this jama in the way of a layered cake. So, after the mouth, it's crispy, but it is countless times higher than the average bread. 99. I know why you would question that this jama is ordinary. Why is it not ordinary? Have you eaten the ingredients in each layer? It's not just about pouring lamb's belly directly into the cake. In each layer, there is not much fat from a horse meat, which is minced with lean meat and covered on top. If you want to achieve crispness without falling apart, you can also cut it open and pour it into the lamb belly. This is a very test of skill. 99 Chapter 198 Follow the Vine. Want to annihilate in one fell swoop? Huang Guwang listened to Lin Fan's explanation. After a closer look, the steamed buns on hand are indeed the practice of 1,000-layer cakes, and each layer has horse meat as a filling. Huang Guwang was surprised by such an approach. At this time, Lin Fan didn't want to waste time. So, when Huang Guwang brought out his dishes, everyone present, a little situation happened. When I saw Huang Guwang's cooking, I just glanced at it. Tokima Bingoro's reflection was the strongest. I don't know why. It's a bit rude to say that, but I still can't help but want to say, I don't really want to eat other dishes now. Although I don't think Huang Guwang's food is bad. I just don't want to eat it. I just want to eat Lin Fan's food. At this time, other cooks also began to speak. Me too. Lin Fan's cooking seems to have a magic power. You can't stop after one bite. Huang Guwang's cooking skills must not be said, but indeed, I also have the same 0-8 feeling, and now I just want to eat Lin Fan's food. 99. Since it's already been made, it's a competition, and it doesn't seem to conform to the rules if you don't eat it. Then have a taste? The transformation of everyone made Huang Guwang a little unable to react. Immediately, Tokima Bingoro took the lead in picking up Huang Guwang's cooking. There was no questioning and no routine, careful observation. Just pick it up and eat it in your mouth. Fortunately, I chewed it carefully. After swallowing, Tokima Bingoro's cousin was a little disappointed and shook his head. Helplessly, Huang Guwang widened his eyes and looked at it again, for fear that he had read it wrong. After so many years as a chef, this is the first time that someone has such a helpless expression after tasting the food. This scene, I am afraid that I have lived to the present age, and I have never thought that it will happen. Tokima Bingoro said disappointedly, "How do you say? I can't even eat this dish. What exactly are you doing?" To be exact, the choice of ingredients in cooking are very bad. I can't imagine that this is actually cooked by you. It's incredible. 5. Wow, Tokima Bingoro's comment instantly made the restaurant boil. even if other people don't want to taste it. But because of this, out of curiosity, they will still taste it. After one bite, what is this doing? How can it be so hard to swallow? 99. Oh my God, I can't believe that this is the hand of the chef. Just before the senior made his evaluation, I thought that the senior's requirements were too high, but I didn't expect it to be true. It's really unpalatable. What is this used for? The ingredients are also messed up. So messy is this beef? The doneness is so bad. 99. Isn't it that you can make the evaluation beef become like high-quality beef? I only eat the taste of seasoning. Too bad. 99 other people's comments were like giving Huang Ziwang a bad impression on this dish. Huang Guang's expression was sluggish, and he took a few steps back. Shaking his head, he didn't seem to believe the result. Impossible. How could it be? How could it be so? 35 after speaking, he turned his face to Lin Fan again, pointed at him, and said, "It's you? You're the one who played tricks in my cooking." Lin Fan smiled and shook his head. "Me? It's very interesting what you said. I stayed in my cooking area from beginning to end. Even though we share the same cooking table, I never touched your ingredients from beginning to end. So many pairs of eyes are sitting here staring, and you can't find a good one if you look for a reason." After hearing Lin Fan's words, everyone started to boo. Yes, with so many eyes staring at you, how can you possibly manipulate your cooking? That's right, taking a step back, Huang Guang's cooking has never left his hand from beginning to end. So how could it be possible for Lin Fan to start? This is a bit out of nothing. Can't afford to lose. Actually, I can understand Huang Yuan's heart. After all, he lost to the younger generation, and he never thought that he would lose so thoroughly, right? Actually, it's not delicious. Maybe it's because you underestimated your opponent too much. You're careless. In short, it's really a bad mark. An unpalatable mark? In this way, if today's incident spreads out, and Huang Guang is in the cooking circle late at night, I am afraid it will not be easy to get along in the future. The crowd chattered. Anyway, things didn't happen to you. You can say whatever you want. However, Huang Guang never thought that he would lose. Even if you lose, you can't lose so completely. So, unconvinced took over his entire thinking. I'm not convinced. I want to give you a try. Huang Guang spoke firmly. Although he couldn't see his expression, he could tell the tone of his speech clearly. Without waiting for the others to react, Lin Fan smiled and said, "Are you coming? That's what a late-night cook is like. I thought it was some kind of powerful organization, but it's just trash that can't afford to lose." 99. If you lose, you lose. Don't care about those objective facts. Even if you underestimate the enemy, isn't it still your problem that you lose? 35. What's more, in fact, you lost to me. You are simply too rubbish. 35. If you compare 100 times or even 1,000 times, the outcome will not change. So, if you have time, you should go back and study your cooking. It is possible that in your lifetime, you will be able to get a sense of it, and your cooking skills will improve. Having said that, Lin Fan walked in silently and said solemnly, "I have something important to ask you." 35. Those things about you are not important to me, and I am not interested in knowing it. 99. Where are the other late-night cooks? 35. To be exact, cooks of your level. Where can you find them? How many of you have come? And what's the next plan? As soon as Lin Fan's words came out, all the late-night cooks in the room immediately changed. 199. Is this clown a cook? Subscribe. At this time, a cook said, "What I know is, Malkanta, he will have a cooking showdown in one place tomorrow. And in Kanto, Kansai, Hokkaido. Wait, there will be late-night cooks invading one after another, and the number of people is huge." Huang Guang was surprised, and even he couldn't help but want to speak. Each region has a person in charge, and here I can provide you with a detailed list. Don't you just want to contact these leaders directly? Those little ones, I'm afraid you won't take it to heart. Lin Fan smiled and said, "You still understand it best, so it's not too late, let's start." Having said that, Lin Fan gave Huang Guang a look. Unconsciously, he walked somewhere, pulled out a pen and paper, and began to write. On the other side, Tashiyama Bingoro wrote down all the people in charge of the area he knew, as well as the stores involved in this matter. The rest of the cooks also provided information to Lin Fan from the person in charge of their respective area, as well as those they knew. After all, this trip did not come 100 times. Holding the list, Lin Fan is ready to leave. Huang Guang stood behind him, thinking about his actions just now. It's all involuntary. It's a wonderful feeling. And at this moment, he was inexplicably admired for Lin Fan. The hell knows what this is for. Then, Huang Guang stopped Lin Fan. Lin Fan, you are very powerful. Can I follow you in the future? Shaki was a little surprised and turned around. Lin Fan didn't find it strange. After all, the 8 magic-breaking arrays in his body might also come from the heart. But these are not important anymore. Lin Fan doesn't care at all. What he wanted has been achieved. However, right here, Huang Guang strode forward, blocking Lin Fan's way. I'm serious and from the heart. Your cooking skills are really amazing. I would like to follow you. As you said before, in the second half of my life, I can spend time researching and comprehending the profound meaning of food. But all of this, I want to follow you on the premise. Lin Fan stopped, looked at Huang Guang, and said with a smile, "Oh, is it? It's not that easy to follow me. Just now, do you dare to eat my poisonous meal?" 35. The real poisonous meal. After eating, the whole body is stiff and the whole person has no consciousness. If you can make it through, this can be regarded as your punishment for offending me. Dare you, eh? Lin Fan just said it casually. But Huang Guang didn't listen to it casually. Compared with the purpose of being a late-night cook, Lin Fan, who is in front of him at the moment, has more of a late-night cook style in his work style, even beyond the late-night cook. So, Huang Guang did not hesitate and replied, "I promise you, isn't it a poisonous meal? I can follow you. Even if I die, I have no regrets. It is worth dying to be able to taste the ultimate meaning of food." Lin Fan really underestimated Huang Guang. He is indeed a bloody person. After thinking about it for a while, he calmly replied, "If that's the case, let's talk about it in half a month." After speaking, Lin Fan turned around and left. Shaki followed closely. Huang Guang was a little confused. He didn't understand what Lin Fan meant. After half a month. Do you want to test him after half a month, or what? Only Lin Fan knew that as early as in his body, he had already been poisoned by the 8 demons. The combination of ingredients and spices will produce a wonderful poison after a week. It will make you stiff and unable to move. Lin Fan also controlled the metering of the poisonous meal. If Huang Guang was in such a situation, he could still express admiration for Lin Fan. There is nothing wrong with such a person's income. If Huang Zhuang has different intentions, this poison has already been poisoned. It is not difficult to die in poison. After coming out of the small restaurant, Lin Fan called Nikiri Arena and said that there was something important to discuss. Polar Star Dorm. Shaki returned to Polar Star Dorm with Lin Fan. Yes. There's also no better place to go directly to Polar Star Dorm. As soon as the door was opened, all members took their places. Everyone was shocked when Shaki stepped forward from behind Lin Fan, especially Nikiri Irina. Unbelievable. Even looked at Saki a few more times. The girl in front of her has a good figure and beautiful facial features. There is really no way to associate her with Lin Fan. Lin Fan stepped forward and said with a smile, grave accent, "Let me introduce to you Shaki, one of Zhang Jin's late-night cooks." As soon as everyone heard the word midnight cook, they immediately became vigilant. Mito Yumei frowned. Yoshino Yuki grabbed the front, leaned over, and said angrily, The late-night cook is the intruder who has turned the country upside down recently." Too much, really too much. What is she going to do? Also, why are you with Lin Fan? Yoshino Yuki questioned irritably. Shaki has its Sundara aura, so naturally, she doesn't have the same knowledge as Yoshino Yuki and doesn't speak. Lin Fan said with a smile, "I said it just now, it's Zhang Jin. He is now my follower. It was she who provided me with powerful clues, and then I followed the clues and found the gathering of late-night cooks. Successfully got the list of some cooks. 55. I am amazed that, well, they're organized and premeditated, and in various regions of the country, they have leaders 5. Having said that, Lin Fan took out the list and sent the rest to the other members through text messages. Lin Fan continued. The list sent to you by the mobile phone is a list of stores that will be invaded in the next few days according to the instructions of each person in charge. What you have to do is to catch them all before this time and deal with them. Nakiri Rina asked, so what are you going to do about this? Lin Fan took a look and saw that it was the person in charge of the late-night cook, as well as some outstanding elite cooks. So Lin Fan smiled and said, why don't you ask? Of course, I'm going to meet them. By the way, this clown Malcanta will appear somewhere in Tokyo tomorrow, so I'll go meet him. Chapter 200 Circus Cooking Marcanta. Subscribed. B. Lin Fan came alone to the restaurant where Marcanta was going, a restaurant next to a playground. No one else followed. Polar Star Dorm and his party were going somewhere else to organize other cooks to invade. Lin Fan made their division of labor clear. Playground because it was a weekend, it was crowded. The restaurant outside is also full, mostly children. At this time, across a long distance, Lin Fan saw a group of pedestrians outside a restaurant, and they whispered, discussing something, walked in and took a look. The clown who just entered, said to be the cook, he came to challenge the shop. Recently, there are a number of homes in Tokyo with good reputation, but they're closed for no apparent reason. There are rumors outside that it was caused by the invasion of a group of cooks. 39. So, is this clown an invading cook? It looks so strange. Is it really a cook? I heard that some people in the food industry have come out to stop this. A bunch of tourists are talking. Lin Fan walked in and asked casually, a clown who calls himself a cook, is he in this store? The passerby looked back at Lin Fan and replied, hey, you look familiar. 99. But he didn't care, and then pointed to the store in front of him and said, 130 is this store. Near the amusement park, the store with the best reputation in business has always had to queue up to make an appointment. Especially for the weekend table, reservations were made as early as half a month ago, and it may not be possible to make an appointment. Just now, the one who claimed to be a cook, dressed up as a clown, at first glance, thought he was an amusement park staff member. As soon as he entered, he made it clear that he wanted to compete with the most powerful chef in this restaurant, and said a lot of sarcastic things about the chef. The general purpose is to let the boss bet everything to try his cooking skills with him. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that this is obviously the other party's trick. But the boss and the chefs are 100% proud of their own cooking, and they will definitely not allow others to trample on them. 35. So, I didn't even think about it. I agreed, no, it should start. Lin Fan nodded, didn't speak, and went directly into the restaurant. Passers-by were still a little puzzled, not knowing what Lin Fan was going to do. In the restaurant, it was also full of guests, all for the diners who watched this cooking competition. The atmosphere inside is very different. The mentality of the diners is to hold the hearts of the onlookers. Watching the excitement is not too much, but most of them are also loyal fans of this restaurant. Suddenly, an intruder came, and most of them still complained about the boss. This intruder is so arrogant. Does it mean that it is a competition? That's right. The chef of this restaurant is the owner, and his cooking skills are very good in this area, and the diners recognize it. So this intruder is really a bit ignorant. Isn't it enough to be recognized by the diners? Why does the boss have to compete with him? This person has bad intentions at first sight. The diners kept talking. At the bar, a short, fat, round man with a clown makeup stood in front of a middle-aged man. The man looked solemn, as if thinking about something. There is no doubt that the person in front of him is the clown Malcanta. I have to say that late-night cooks are really weird. Lin Fan met yesterday with a mask, and today is a clown makeup. As the saying goes, the world is so big that it is full of wonders. The clown Malcanta looked at the boss and said, why? Does the boss dare not? 35. I'm afraid your cooking skills are too poor, or I'm afraid that the diners will know that in this world, there are still delicious dishes that are so much better than yours. This sentence is extremely insulting. The boss looked ugly, just about to speak. Lin Fan stepped forward and smiled. Malcanta, your opponent should be me. Wow. Everyone's eyes fell on Lin Fan. One of them also said, hey, he's the young man who asked about it outside the door just now. So he came here for this matter. The boss and Marcanta looked puzzled. Malcanta turned around and smiled strangely. Yo, whose kid is this, your boss? The tone is not small. It seems that you have worked hard enough to know me. The boss was dumbfounded, and Lin Fan also met Lin Fan, but he felt a little familiar. Lin Fan stepped forward and replied, I have nothing to do with this, boss. With you, there are some wonderful places. 95 recently, the late-night cook has invaded, and his behavior is very arrogant. Excuse me, did you get the consent of others before doing this? But yes, if you care about others, it's not called an invasion. Malcanta frowned slightly. The boss also hurriedly said, Young man, this is a matter between me and him. Don't get involved. Lin Fan smiled. My name is Lin Fan. Malcanta touched his chin and thought about it quickly. Then he was pleasantly surprised. Oh, you are Lin Fan. I remembered, yesterday, the boy who defeated Huang Guang and Sha Qi one after another. A young chef who is well known in the Japanese food circle. Seems to be the one named. Tsuki's student, right? When the boss heard this, he suddenly realized and said, So you are Lin Fan, the chief chef of Tsuki Elite 10 and the genius chef who made it to the finals at the Elite Chef Conference. All of a sudden, the people in the restaurant were instantly boiling. Lin Fan came to this restaurant and offered to discuss with Malcanta. At this time, when Malcanta saw this, he still smiled strangely. I see. You're here for me, right? Today, news came one after another that cooks in various regions were captured by a group of local cooks. It looks like you are a group, don't you? Since your purpose is so clear, then I have to say something. If you want to compete with me, you can bet on this boss's shop. Chapter 2, A One Circus Cooking is very powerful. It does not exist, subscribe, to make a bet with this owner's shop? Lin Fan questioned. Then he smiled and said, I'll give you a stroke. The matter between you and this boss is the matter of the two of you. Me and you, it's another matter. So, first of all, after you settle the matter between the two of us, you are competing with this boss, and it has nothing to do with me. Provided that, you have to live to compete with him. Lin Fan's words carried a strong sense of sarcasm. Not only did they know this trick, Lin Fan returned it to him in the same way. After hearing this, Malcanta's funny face became a little more terrifying. On that face, painted with clown makeup, his face was hideous, which made him look even more eerie. Malcanta said, Stinky boy, I know you are always arrogant, and you also defeated Sha Qi and Huang Guan yesterday. But those two can't compare to you. That's because they're too weak. I'm different from them. If you're interested, you apologize to me. After I compete with this boss, I'll come to fulfill your wishes. If you don't agree, then don't blame me for bullying the junior. Lin Fan smiled and said, You don't have to be polite to me. Just let the horses come over. Malcanta took a deep breath, and the round belly looked even more comical. Then he smiled evilly and said, Okay, since you're not so afraid of death, then according to our late-night cooking rules, how about whoever loses and who dies? Wow. As soon as these words came out, the people around them were frightened. Tourists with children leave quickly with the children. For the rest, the controversy continues. This self-proclaimed late-night cook doesn't look like a cook at all, but more like a desperado. 35? Yeah, take your life. The price sounds familiar. 35, have you forgotten? Zhijin Lin Fan also used it when Tsuki was eating halberds. Oh, I remembered. This Lin Fan is also a bloody boy. But it's not only that the temper is not good. These two people really met. After hearing this, the restaurant owner hurriedly stepped forward and said, Student Lin, this matter is no trivial matter. Please don't mess around. I know your cooking skills are very good, but school and practical experience are two different things. The boss is a little worried. More, it was the humiliation of disobedience to Malcanta. After all, as the chef and owner of this popular restaurant, being ridiculed and questioned is the shame of his chef career. So, the restaurant owner said, Your name is Malcanta, isn't it? Your opponent should be me. As for what happened between you and this classmate, that's what happens after you. But you question my cooking skills. I absolutely cannot allow such a thing to happen. 39, however, at this time, Malcanta turned his face to Lin Fan, Before Lin Fan came in, his goal was this restaurant. But now Lin Fan has appeared. Obviously, Lin Fan was his main target, and the owner of this store, Malkanta, didn't take it seriously. When a deal with him is the same. The priority is Lin Fan, a rare opportunity. You know, in Malkanta's eyes, Lin Fan is like an NPC with a full buff. If he is defeated, he will have rich rewards. Hey, this guy has maintained a 100% win rate since his debut. If he can beat him, then he will inherit his previous record by default. At this time, Malkanta smiled and said, "I'm not interested in this restaurant for the time being. It's here after all. It can't escape, but Lin Fan. You are unique. I need to compete with you." Lin Fan smiled and said, "I'm also very happy. I've agreed. How about the price of your life?" Having said that, Lin Fan looked around, locked the location of the kitchen, and strode in. People were confused and followed in. The cooks in the kitchen were startled. Lin Fan quickly found the ingredients area and took out a puffer fish. Putting on the cooking table, he smiled and said, "As we all know, puffer fish is poisonous if you lose." As for Flower Zero, Lin Fan didn't finish his sentence, but just stared at the puffer fish. Anyone with a discerning eye could see the meaning of the words. The onlookers made a subconscious action of swallowing saliva. The boss hurriedly stopped. "Young people, don't be impulsive." Malkanta did not hesitate and smiled. "Okay, it said that you were a late-night cook, and sure enough, I saw it today. It's a pity that you and I are not fellow travelers. Otherwise, we would be good friends." 35, I love such bets. Having said that, Malkanta continued, "I heard that you have a skill in flame cooking. I am very curious. I also have a good cooking skill. I don't know if you dare to show it to me to test it." Lin Fan calmly said, "Cooking skills? Are you sure you want to compete with me in flame cooking?" Malkanta said to himself, "I have learned that through countless stoves, a raging fire is ignited and the ingredients are cooked in an instant. This cooking method is very novel." 39, but compared to this, my cooking skills are better than yours. If you want to know, compare it with me. Lin Fan touched his chin and said, "This is what you said. I didn't force you. But the venue of the kitchen is really not suitable for doing this." The boss immediately said, "This is an amusement park, and there is an open space outside, which is my own land. Before, it was specially used to entertain guests who came to the store and used it for activities if the two of you didn't dislike it." 35, Lin Fan immediately laughed. "Okay, then let's settle it like that. Boss, I'm going to trouble you. After I talk about this scourge, I will apologize to you." The boss waved his hand hurriedly. No, no, no. I think you are helping me solve the crisis in the restaurant. If you have something to do, it's your duty." 99, after speaking, the group walked outside. At this time, there were more and more people watching outside the door. Chapter 202. It seems that Lin Fan has the upper hand. Subscription. More and more people are watching. Most of the people have heard that Lin Fan is here to try his cooking skills with others. So far, Lin Fan's name, as long as the team is interested in food, will know his name. Even people who are not in the food industry know a little bit about it. There is such a young man who has just made his debut and is known to the whole industry. Being able to see the competition live is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There was also a group of people outside the restaurant. With just a little effort, the outdoor temporary cooking area was set up. It has the freshest ingredients and the most complete kitchen utensils. These are provided by restaurateurs. He was very optimistic about Lin Fan, and he might be able to take down the intruder directly in one fell swoop. It also came out annoyed. At this time, Malkanta took out his 130 kitchen utensils. A huge iron ball wrapped around Malkanta's body. Wow sound. The people around were talking curiously. Is such a big iron ball cooking or juggling? Looking at his clown dress, don't he have to do acrobatics before cooking? If that's the case, it's really rare. In this case, is it possible to pressure cook Lin Fan? I was fortunate enough to see Lin Fan's flame cooking. It was really shocking. Although I have never tasted grilled fish, the fragrance is really memorable. It's such a coincidence. I'm also here. I'm afraid I can't replicate the second dish in this world. Such a delicious dish, but unfortunately, I can't sell it. If Lin Fan wants to open a restaurant, I swear, It will definitely be the one I love most. The passersby say something. At this time, Malkanta played with the iron ball in his hand. Boy, are you ignorant? Don't you know what this is? Or, you've guessed it, this is my kitchen utensils. That's right, it's this big iron ball. It's my kitchen utensils for cooking. Now to formally introduce to you, the kitchen clown Malkanta. The cooking is circus, children, and watch the feast. 35. Incorporated into my cooking as well. Next, I will bring you dishes that you have never seen before. Markanta said confidently. Once again, the onlookers are boiling up. Look, the kitchen utensils that Malkanta took are such a big iron ball. Yeah, it's really kitchen utensils. How do you cook such kitchen utensils? I'm curious. Do you want to use a big iron ball to beat the ingredients? Anyway, it's still full of novelty. Looking forward to it. 35, however, Lin Fan at this time seemed to be watching a play. Without too many expressions, he silently walked to the side, just took an ordinary big iron pot. The restaurant owner was stunned and asked, "Students, if you are not satisfied with these kitchen utensils, just ask what you need." 35, as long as it is within my ability, I will definitely get it for you as soon as possible. After all, you are also the benefactor of our restaurant. You saved us from this disaster. Lin Fan turned back and smiled. This iron pan is amazing. That's it. Use it to make delicious dishes. The boss was dubious. But Lin Fan has already said it, so it's not good to say more. Silently stood by and watched. At this time, Malkanta's style was countless times higher than Lin Fan's. A giant iron ball tied to a large chain. This makes people unconsciously think that the flame cooking of Zhijin Lin Fan also tied the fish to a large iron chain and cooked the fish through the power of rotation. So, at this moment, everyone's eyes are focused on Malkanta. Humans are so fickle. No matter how terrifying Lin Fan's record is, once there is someone better than him, people won't take his feelings towards Zhijin. Whoever is better has the final say. Occasionally, a few people stared at Lin Fan with their eyes fixed. But when Lin Fan put the big iron pot on the stove, turned on the fire, and had other actions, the rest of the passers-by were also a little impatient. The iron pan has been drying on the stove, and Lin Fan has not processed other ingredients. Obviously, this is not ready to cook. It is processing this iron pan. It's obviously much more exciting than the Markanta next to it. Yeah, that big iron ball, I'm quite new. How does he use it? 35. Lin Fan can wait here and watch it for a while. I seem to have heard that there is a process for the big iron pot to boil. There is such a saying, but the pot is a new big iron pot. This pot prepared by the boss should not be brand new. Who knows? Maybe we have to go through the process. Let's look at Markanta first. Everyone was talking. Malkanta looked smug after hearing this. After all, Zhijin's Lin Fan is like this, and he has the upper hand to put pressure on his opponents. Today is not what it used to be. I didn't expect this kid to have today. At this point, Markanta has the ingredients ready. Seeing him put all the prepared ingredients into the big iron ball. At this time, seeing him smiling, he said, "Good children, keep your eyes open and watch the circus cooking on Mashan." 35? Wow, all eyes were on Malkanta. I saw him quickly spinning the big iron ball. This scene is very familiar. Someone started exclaiming, rotating the big iron ball. This picture seems familiar. It's very similar to the flame dishes cooked by Lin Fan Zhijin. It's just that there is no flame in the Markanta. It's not like it is. It seems that the principle is similar. Is it through the power of rotation? There are still other people who know the skill of rotating cooking. At this moment, Malkanta said excitedly, "Use this big iron ball as a kitchen utensil." Using the centrifugal force of the high-speed rotation of the iron ball and the heat radiation in the iron ball, the tender meat is far better than that of a pressure cooker. Lin Fan. The principle of centrifugal force is familiar, right? I didn't expect that I would do this. You are very smart. You can even think of this level. But my cooking is much easier than your flame cooking, and it is no exaggeration to say that it tastes far better than yours. 5 Chapter 203, Big Explosion of Twice-Cooked Meat Debut for subscription. Malkanta Talking Room, boom boom. The rotating big iron ball made a lot of noise. Even because of this rotation, there's a faint wind around. The crowd immediately became vigilant. The wind is blowing. This familiar scene, the last time I was watching Lin Fan's flame cooking. My phone was rolled up in the air. 9-9, you just got your phone swept out. I almost got swept away. It's scary, be careful. Look at this. Everyone be careful and be optimistic about yourself and the things around you. The onlookers were busy talking. After hearing this, Malcanta laughed even louder. You are all my audience and the children over there. Enjoy this wonderful feast. Lin Fan, you're sure to lose. My iron ball circus cooking, both in terms of time and cooking, is much easier than yours. If you want 08 to replicate the exact same flame cooking, you must first have those countless fires, right? However, this is not Tsuki. When you are ready, I am afraid the competition is over. Ha 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 ha. Malcanta laughed wildly. The more it does, the faster the big iron ball spinning in his hand. Pat, pat, pat. The onlookers were surprised by this scene. In the past conventional cooking dishes, all are normal kitchen utensils and normal cooking. Like this outside, cooking like a show. The passers-by were amazed. The scene is also very spectacular. At this moment, Lin Fan's bola sound instantly broke the situation in front of him. A crisp sound came out. In the sound of crosstalk, there is also a strong aroma wafting out. Wow! In an instant, everyone turned their attention to Lin Fan again. It's a big iron pot. Lin Fan was drying the iron pot just now. Is it to reach the highest temperature? And it didn't use gas. It used charcoal fire. I seem to have noticed just now that Lin Fan used this pot and buried it in the charcoal fire. I once thought that he was going to reboil the pot. 35. This aroma is mutton. Good rich aroma. Onion, garlic. A burst of smell drifted all over the place. It provoked some passers-by who were just passing by and quickly stepped forward to watch. The number of onlookers gradually increased. Boom, boom, in the iron pot. The relationship of stir-frying instantly rose to flames. In the blink of an eye, Lin Fan used a wet towel, holding the handle of the iron pan, and poured the mutton out of the pot. From frying in the pot to the time when it comes out of the pot, the time consuming in the middle is no more than a blink of an eye. At this time, Malcanta was still spinning his big iron ball hard. The scene is spectacular. Because of Lin Fan's lead, this guy was not convinced and felt anxious instantly. Malcanta accelerated the iron ball in his hand, as if to shorten the production time. Turning faster and faster, he clearly felt his panic. Lin Fan stood not far from his eyes and smiled. It's okay, take your time. Don't be in a hurry. There's still time. Just follow your original plan. 99. I just want to say that cooking is dead and people are alive. So we need to adapt appropriately. It is impossible for all cooking skills to remain the same. These techniques are very flexible. It depends on how the user manipulates them. There is some irony in Lin Fan's words. Cut. Malcanta made an onomatopoeia, unconvinced. Afterwards, Lin Fan put the sub-packaged fried mutton in front of the boss. Big explosion of twice-cooked pork. Normally, pork is usually used for the meat quality of twice-cooked pork, but today I want to change it and use mutton. It can also be called dabong double-cooked mutton, 35. In short, the point of it is that the mutton is cooked through the high temperature the moment it is put into the pot. 5. It's just a short moment, so it's very particular about the heat. If the heat is not enough, then in an instant, there is no way to cook the mutton. 35. The boss looked in front of him. This plate of fragrant mutton with clear gravy and bright color. Not only does it look attractive, but it also has a charming aroma. The boss couldn't help but say, so just now you made a charcoal fire alone, just to bury the big iron pot.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.